It's a poison. That doesn't help the stress level. No, don't do it. Get a grip. This stupid video I just showed you. I almost stroked out and died over it. You're watching a different show. You donkey. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. Don't do this to me, Harry. The Ohio State. It's Ohio State. What do you mean, the? 312-988-15.
Hello?
You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. Yeah, that's right. Are we having fun yet? Are you enjoying the ride? This is going to be a very important show. A very important show on a lot of fronts. This is the most Notre Dame-iest scenario you could ever imagine. It's unbelievable. I was tossing and turning all night. Of all the I always say, I coined the term Notre Dame. So many things that happen feel Notre Dame. This is the Notre Dame-iest of all Notre Dame scenarios you could imagine. And it's multifaceted and multi-layered, and it's complicated. It is the most Notre Dame-iest scenario you could ever imagine. Just only Notre Dame can figure out some way to be the centerpiece of all the drama. It's almost wild when you just think about it. When you just run it through your mind of Notre Dame historically being, you think the shirt's random? You think the shirt choice is random today? Like, this is literally probably what it's going to come down to. Who's going to be in the playoff? The Catholics or the convicts? So it's just wild to me how Notre Dame finds themselves just as the lightning bolt strikes. It's Notre Dame finds a way to just be in the middle of all the drama. It is wild. And here we are. And so there's a couple things we need to go over today. One of them is Notre Dame's recruiting class. And I have some thoughts on that. But this CFP thing just gets weirder as we go along. And what I think is interesting about this is when you see the results from the bracket yesterday, and then you look at the reactions to it on social media and these podcasts or whatever, people are all over the board on what this is setting up and what this is doing. There's just no agreement. You're just going to have to show up Sunday and see what this group of random people in a fancy hotel ballroom come up with. Who knows? But you got people all over the board here on what this move that the committee did with Alabama out of Notre Dame represents and what it means and what this could play out like. So you just have no agreement and you're just going to show up and see what this committee decides to do. It was already going to be a long week. The long week just got longer. So I want to know what you guys think. I'm putting the link in the description or in the chat. We got a couple people already. Feel free to use the link. Jump in. I want to know what you guys think about all this stuff. Jeffrey says what that move means is Notre Dame is out. There's a lot of people that believe that. And there's a lot of people that see it very differently. And nobody knows what You cannot trust this committee to maintain philosophical consistency week to week. I think that is the number one complaint everyone has about the playoff committee and the way this goes is there is no philosophical consistency. It always has felt like week to week, they're going to do what they're going to do, say what they're going to say, then they could change it the next week. That's the number one complaint I think everyone could agree on. So there is no philosophical consistency. And who knows how this is going to end up? You are leaving your fate in the hands of what? Texas Tech and a group of random people in a hotel ballroom. That's what you didn't take care of business. Now that's where you find yourself. That's where you find yourself at the whim of this group of random people. This is just not the place to be. So welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. The link is in the chat. I want to go over some of the chats that have come in with different opinions. I want to get my little piece out about this, and then I'll hand the show over to you guys. Okay? I'll hand the show over to you guys and see what you guys think. And I don't know if we're going to have a lot of people or not, but we'll try and move it along so as many people that want can join. It's wild to me how Notre Dame finds themselves somehow wedged into a position where they're always divisive. There's always drama around Notre Dame. When you're the outlier, when you're an independent, when you do things different, when you forge your own path, when you're that team and everybody else is over here doing the conference thing and you're over here, you're always that lightning rod. It's just amazing that it's like a made-for-TV drama, this thing. It's unbelievable. And so let's get into it. As always, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it, subscribe if you haven't yet. Give the video a thumbs up. Notifications on so you don't miss nothing. Twitter, search bar Always Irish, Always Irish Inc. Emails alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only, anywhere you want it, you can get it. If you do not want to see my stupid face, nobody blames you, especially today. I'm not in a good mood. You're living on the fault line. Not my favorite Doobie Brothers album. Like, I don't appreciate it, and I don't like where we're at right now. You're living on the fault line. I don't like it. Notre Dame on SI. Read all about it. Wrote an article this morning about all this stuff. Patreon.com/alwaysirish. Had a really good time. Had a really, really good time last night with Goolsby and Jack Sullivan breaking down 2 hours, breaking down all of these commits, what Notre Dame has coming in this class, all that kind of stuff. It was just a really robust episode, 2 hours worth of those guys breaking down all this film and analyzing this top 5 Notre Dame recruiting class. So thank you everybody for being here. I got to run through my thoughts real quick. Let me get it out of the way and clear the deck, and then we'll go to whatever you guys think. Okay. So let's get into this. And here's where I want to start. Heartline to USF. I did not see that coming. Interesting. That's very interesting. Good starting point for him to try being a head coach, I suppose. What's Penn State going to do? That's a whole different drama that I'm finding entertaining that doesn't involve me. However, let's get into this. First, the timing of Notre Dame dropping in these rankings and going down to 10th could not have been worse for this reason. Marcus Freeman is about to sign or already has signed a legitimate top 5 recruiting class, no matter where you look, what outlet. It is a bona fide, certified top 5 recruiting class. We've all been begging for it. That's what we wanted. Freeman's got to get the recruiting to that level. That's where many of us thought he could get Notre Dame recruiting when he took over. Now you got a bona fide top 5, if not top 3. It may be a top 3 class now, anywhere you look. A top 3, top 4 class at the worst. Okay. They're about to do what we've all been asking for, and driving the engine of this program, that iSchool recruiting, signed by far Freeman's best class, well in the top 5. And nobody wants to talk about it because everybody's just worried about the playoffs. That's frustrating to me. That's frustrating to me. I see Notre Dame as the number 2 class a lot of places, depending on where it's ranked. It's frustrating to me that it should be all about this, but it's not, because you have all this CFP drama. The timing of it is frustrating to me because you're finally getting the kind of recruiting results we all wanted out of Marcus Freeman's program, and all anybody's going to worry about is the playoff. It is what it is, but I got to mention that. Really good job on the full breakdown with Jack and Mike. Here's the other thing, too, and I'm throwing this in here. There may very well be a added benefit to this 26 recruiting class in Notre Dame's favor that moves the needle, that makes them the number 1 class overall. It may not happen today, but Jack Sullivan, our guy over on Patreon, go behind the paywall if you want that information. You got to be there for it. There could be an added kicker to this class for Notre Dame that you're all going to like if you're a Notre Dame fan. It may not be today, but there may be something in the works big that adds to this Notre Dame 26 class that Notre Dame fans are really going to be excited about. And Jack Sullivan had the inside scoop on that. We went over it on Patreon. So this 26 class that already looks good could get better for Notre Dame. If you get news in the near future, remember this discussion. Remember this discussion. If this class that's already elite gets better in a big way with some news, remember where you heard it first. And I don't see it at the legacy media, but Always Irish Patreon at it. Shout out to Jack Sullivan and some of his sourcing. This class could get even better. So that's number 1 is frustrated with the timing because I wanted the attention to be about that recruiting class, and it's just not. Okay? It's just not. That's frustrating. Let's move on next. When you're asking when, I don't know the timing of it, but stay tuned. Could be big news. And I mean big, okay? You heard it here first. If something drops, remember where you heard it first, okay? So here's my next point. This has not been fun. This has not been a fun ride. I have not enjoyed it. This has been like misery for me personally. I don't know where you guys are at, but I have not enjoyed this ride at all. Okay, you're begging for help all the time for these other teams and a group of random people in a hotel ballroom that change their minds on a whim and all this kind of stuff. They're philosophically inconsistent, all of this stuff. I have not enjoyed this at all. This has not been fun. This has not been fun. All right, I have not enjoyed it. This has been just, it is taken away from the fun of this ride and Notre Dame winning 10 games, all of this stress and the drama. And I don't like the feeling of being helpless. I feel like I'm playing a weak hand, and it's made me feel like a cuck loser. And I don't appreciate being in that position. Oh, I hope these other teams help my team out because we're not good enough to handle it ourselves. Oh, I hope this random group of 12 people wake up and philosophically this day they're for Notre Dame. I really hope. I don't appreciate being in a position to have to sit there and beg for help the last month. It's a weak hand of cards to play. Notre Dame did it to themselves, and I don't like it at all. I've hated this feeling. Social media is toxic. All the algorithm does is feed me Notre Dame hatred every single minute of my stupid life. It has not been a fun ride. I have not enjoyed this at all. I feel like I'm playing a weak hand of cards, and I'm begging for handouts like a poor guy under the bridge of Lakeshore Drive or whatever they changed the name of the dumb road to. So I have not enjoyed this at all. I feel like a loser playing a weak hand, begging for help from everybody. It's when we get into the next part of this, let's preface it here. This is Notre Dame's doing. It's Notre Dame's fault. Whatever else we're going to do, complaining about the committee or what they're going to do, understand you were only in this position because you didn't take care of business and you weren't ready to play the first 2 games. That's your fault, Notre Dame. So, as we get into this, understand the framework. My first bullet point is it's our fault. Don't lose 2 games. Now, I see a lot of people saying, but John, they didn't call that flag on the last play against A&M. They tackled 2 of our guys, should have been holding. We should have won and escaped out of there. What about the other 34 points you gave up at home to Texas A&M? What about those 34 points? Did the refs do that too? So this is our fault. Yeah, you could have got bailed out by the holding or whatever, fine, but you still allowed 34 other points against this team in your damn building. So understand we're in this position because it's our fault and we weren't properly ready to play the first 2 games. Now, if this committee decided they're going to have Bama jump in Notre Dame and they're going to have Miami ending up ahead of Notre Dame in the end, and this is all a big scheme to get it all to work out, if that's what you were doing, and you're going to jump Bama ahead of Notre Dame and then move Miami ahead of Notre Dame or whatever, if this is where the committee started from and gave reasons that made sense for these moves, I would understand it. Do you get what I'm saying? If they just started out and said, well, we value Alabama's wins or whatever, and so that they're going to be ahead of Notre Dame, and Miami won that ad, and so we're putting them ahead of Notre Dame, even though they have identical records. If that's where you started from, as the committee philosophically, you could give reasons and rationale to make that make sense. And I could not like it, but you could give reasons that could make that make sense. The problem is the path that they're setting themselves up on and the reasonings for it fall short. That's the problem. If you started with this stuff they want to do and then gave a proper philosophy, you could understand the rationale, and that is not what they're doing. The path they're on and how they set it up makes no sense. Bama jumps Notre Dame, and the guys asked why, and on national Sly, I can't handle it today. I can't handle that today, Sly. You're going to kill me. I'm going to stroke out on the air, Sly. Do you get what I'm saying? If you gave proper rationalization to the moves, you could probably understand it. But when this guy gets on national TV and his answer why Bama moves out of Notre Dame is because they went for it on 4th down against a 5-win coachless team, you're failing the project. Right? Do you get what I'm saying? You could have Miami ahead of Notre Dame and Alabama ahead of Notre Dame and give reasons I could understand and not like, but understand. But the guy said, oh, well, a gutsy 4th down call against a 5-win team that doesn't have a coach. That's how they jump Notre Dame. That's the reason you give on national TV. Are you outside your mind, Hunter? That's the problem I have, is just the path they're on and the rationale they're giving doesn't add up. So this move protects Alabama and the SEC, right? It protects Alabama and the SEC, having them move up in case they lose to Georgia. It gives them more cushion. It's not what they've actually done or what they're setting up, as much as the path they're going to get there and the rationale they're giving, that I have a problem with. You could present these moves to me in a way that makes a strong case, but they don't. That is the problem I have. So Bama jumps Notre Dame. Notre Dame's 10. If BYU loses, then they would maybe drop, and then Miami moves in, and then that suddenly matters. It didn't matter for the last month. Nobody, they didn't play. It didn't matter the last week, and then they move it. They're back to back. Now it suddenly matters a lot. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. That dad wasn't a factor now, but at the very end, it suddenly is. I don't understand. You're acting like Notre Dame and Miami would just then be compared at that moment, but never any time before? Come on, man. Just have Miami ahead of Notre Dame from the beginning of all this, and then it makes sense. And I could not like it or be frustrated, but it would make logical sense at least. But that's not what they're doing. So that's the nightmare scenario, right? Is that, I guess, BYU gets Alabama seems like they're going to be safe no matter what. And then if BYU loses, then Notre Dame, Miami are head-to-head, and then it's easier to flip them because you look at head-to-head now. Magically, head-to-head matters more now, apparently, because a team between Notre Dame, Miami lost. So now suddenly that head-to-head weights more. I struggle with that. Is that what they're setting this up for? Protect Alabama and then position Notre Dame and Miami where they could then use the head-to-head? You're not blocked. I would never block you. Yeah, Renee, what are you talking about? I'd never block you, dog. You know that. You're family. So I don't know. I guess I just struggle with the philosophy. It's the moves are one thing. The philosophy minded is a problem. Okay. So I don't know if that's what they're setting up or not, but this all feels like it's too reality TV for me. You're messing with people's lives and my blood pressure. Playing these games, setting up all this drama, being cute in your answers to avoid saying certain stuff. This ain't no Big Brother reality TV. You're messing with people's lives, bro. My blood pressure's on the line. My hairline's on the line. So, and then the committee dude says idle teams can move. Okay, follow me here. You got to explain this one to me. He says idle teams can move when he was asked about it. Yeah, you're right. Idle teams can move. Yeah, no kidding. If there's a bunch of blowouts or weird stuff in these conference championship games, sure, idle teams could move in conjunction together. That doesn't mean one would jump the other when neither are playing. It means if you have a bunch of blowouts or something and those teams drop, the other teams move up, but they still, the one that was ahead moves up more than the one that was behind. They could both move up idle, but not one jump the other idle. If you're going to do that, just do it in the beginning. So, yeah, I don't have a problem that idle teams could move, but not flip-flop. They could just both move together in the order they're in. If you were jumping Miami over Notre Dame, do it yesterday or do it in the first one. Do it in the first one. Say head-to-head, same amount of losses. They're in. That's how we see it. And John could live with that. But that's not. I don't like you playing these games. I don't like you playing these games. That's the problem I have. So now we're in a split situation. Yeah, Andrew Luck, what did he just wake up when they interviewed him on the sideline? He looked like a homeless guy in San Francisco. Clean it up, Andrew. So now people are mixed on what this means for Notre Dame. So BYU loses, Miami's by us. They could flip Notre Dame and Miami. Hello to the Cheez-Its Bowl. Who's excited for that coverage? I can't wait. So then there's a whole other group of people that are convinced Notre Dame's ahead of Miami, and that part isn't going to change. So there's a split. A lot of people think Notre Dame's going to be ahead of Miami, and if Alabama loses, maybe this creates a buffer where Alabama could lose by a lot and then slot between Notre Dame and Miami, creating more of a buffer between Notre Dame and Miami and keeping the SEC. Oh, we got to keep Alabama in. SEC. It keeps that in, and it would create a buffer between Notre Dame and Miami if they wanted to do that. So there is that argument that now if they look bad against Alabama or whatever, or Georgia, they could slot between Notre Dame and Miami and create that buffer again. So there are people convinced we're screwed. Miami's jumping us. And there are others that think we're going to be fine. I don't know. It's all just too Notre Dame-y. It's all, and I see people saying, I actually like that 10 spot better, the way the bracket lines up. The problem with that is you're just playing with fire, though. I understand that argument, but how willing are you to play with that fire of being flipped with Miami for the last spot to be in the 10. Here's the other question with that. If that holds, do they want that? Do you want 2 rematches in the first round? You would have Notre Dame A&M rematch, Oklahoma Alabama rematch. They don't want that in the first round. We already saw those games. So that's an interesting part of this too. It's all too Notre Dame. It's all too Notre Dame. It's and I'm still not even sold Notre Dame shouldn't be ahead of Oklahoma, let alone behind Notre Dame. I'm still not sold on that. So I don't know, man. I don't know where this is all headed. But when I did the research yesterday to see what people thought, there's a fair amount of people that think Notre Dame, this is all preparing for the dramatic Miami to flip Notre Dame head-to-head finally mattering. And then there's other people who are like, nope, Notre Dame's going to be safe. You could slap Bama in with the loss between them, and then Notre Dame's in. And it really doesn't make sense that if Miami was going to jump, it didn't happen yesterday or in the first bracket or the one yesterday. Neither of them play. So, and then I see other people, oh, you got to root for Boise State so they win and it makes Notre Dame's record look better. Bro, you screwed up your year when you were relying on Boise State to do something so Notre Dame makes playoff. You didn't do your damn part. You didn't do your damn part when that's how far we got to dip to pray for help. And of course, if BYU wins, none of this matter. I think that Notre Dame and Miami are both out and they can argue for it all summer who should have been in. And they're both going to be out. So you got multiple problems to worry about. BYU, Texas Tech problem, Miami getting you from behind problem. So I don't know. It's a bad spot to be. Okay, let me do a couple of these chats, and then we'll bring you guys up, see what you think. Rotate, $20 hour. I guess playing in the SEC gives you a pass to lose to 5 and 7 Florida State. So glad Ashton Freeman wasted love. That's why we never get elite talent. Well, you got elite talent today. You got a top 2 or 3 class. A lot of elite talent, 4 or 5 stars. Notre Dame needs to get serious about football, join a conference or be pretenders. I can't agree with this. You made it to the championship game last year. You're not a pretender. You made it to the conference or the conference. Yo, there I am. Join a conference. You made it to the championship last year. You're not a pretender, and you just signed a bona fide elite class. But I understand you're frustrated today. 1086 in the mix. Dr. John, can you spell screwed? $10 holler from Mark. I have to believe Alabama's above to protect the SEC. If Bama loses, they go back 10 and Notre Dame back to 9. That is one theory. But there are people who just think this is setting up for the Miami flip. $5 holler from the Armadillo. Can't lose A&M at home and with a week to get ready. 100% correct. A&M loss looks worse now. 100% correct. It's Vanderbilt in a New Year's 6. I'm okay with it. I am not okay with it. If you don't make the playoff, the year is a bona fide failure. There's no gray area. There's no what if. There's no debate. You don't make the playoff. It is a failure. You don't get to see Love and Price out there. You don't get to see Malachi Fields in the playoff. You wasted opportunity. It's your fault. The year's a failure. $2 holler from the Dong. Get John on the committee. I don't play nice with others when it comes to Notre Dame. Wouldn't work out. $10 holler for the Pilney. The bill came due today. This is on Ash and Denbrock. Ash not knowing his defense and Denbrock using Carr as if he's the reincarnation of Riley Leonard early in the year. $10 holler Pilney. Miami game next year at South Bend will be Catholics versus Convicts Part 2. Police escort's going to be needed before the game. TV ratings off charts. I do like you're getting them in November. That does help. Pat, what's going on?
Let's start from the beginning. I agree with what you said about you. This comes down to, in the easiest way to put it, you can't lose those 2 games.
Yep.
If you win one of those games,
yep,
none of this is an issue.
That's why I wanted to start with that point before we get into all the nitpicking. This is what happens when you give up controlling your own destiny. There's a bill to be paid. You're at the whim of all this other stuff, and I hate it. So that's how whatever. I
shaved again today. I showered. I brushed my hair. I didn't wear a collar shirt, but otherwise I did all the other stuff for those people
Good.
asking. So I saw it last night. I didn't get to watch it live, but I went back and got the replay of it. And well, first of all, the guy talking for the committee has to be the dumbest person for them to put out there. Like, I don't understand your logic of they jumped out to a 17-0 lead on Auburn, but almost lost the game, which means they gave up a 17-0 lead.
Yeah.
And that's good enough for them to jump Notre Dame. Like, that makes no sense whatsoever. And that person is really doing this whole thing a disservice.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the committee is wrong with what they're doing or anything like that. Guy is just a moron and is the wrong person to be doing this.
So
and Joey Galloway and Kirk Herbstreit. So I don't watch any other shows. I watch your show, but I started watching Herbstreit and Galloway talk about it after the thing comes out. And they both came to the same conclusion. They should just get rid of the Tuesday show. They shouldn't be doing that. They just released the rankings on Tuesdays. There's no communication. It's just, here it is. Don't talk about it. Don't set any expectations. Because Galloway brought up another point. 2 weeks ago now, he's the guy doing the commissioner of the committee or whoever. He said Notre Dame and Miami were already clustered together.
Yeah.
They already were.
Yep.
They already did the comparison, and the committee said that Notre Dame was still ahead of Miami. And Galloway, this is Galloway saying it. I've never been, he's an Ohio State guy, but he's saying, how can you say that? And then 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, come back after both teams win both of their games in convincing fashion.
Yep.
So nothing has really changed in their resumes.
Yep.
And neither team is going to play on Saturday. How can you flip them on Sunday?
Yeah.
He goes, what is the whole point? He goes, you are just going to destroy the integrity of the playoff committee if you do this. And he wasn't advocating for Notre Dame or Miami. He's just talking about the scenario this committee put themselves into.
Yep.
And it goes back to your point. You should have just, if this was what was going to happen, you should have just had Miami out front. I think what happened is the committee thought Miami was going to lose to one of those teams on their schedule, and they never did. So they thought they were going to be a non-issue, and they turned out to be an issue. Yeah. Now they got all this pressure on them, and they're folding to it. And they probably thought, Oklahoma or Alabama would have lost more games, and they would have tumbled out. And so it wouldn't have mattered, and Notre Dame would have been able to push in.
Yeah.
So I think they just totally they set projections instead of being – this is where we see it today. They set projections in the rankings, and now it's biting them in the ass. And they look. I don't care how you look at it. They're going to look like fools. No matter what they do, they're going to look like fools. They got the head-to-head matchup wrong. They got now they're going to flip teams when they don't play. Like that's asinine.
They back themselves into that. And that's why I said it isn't necessarily the moves, but it's the way they're arriving at them that is like head scratching. Right. You could present these moves in a logical way people could understand, but they're not doing that.
And like what they got chalk from the first poll. They got chalk all the way out. When has that happened? Yeah. No upsets.
Yeah.
You got chalk. And that's a problem for them. That's a huge problem for them. So that's an issue. Now to the conference side of it with Notre Dame. Anyone who is saying that this is a reason for Notre Dame to join a conference, you are dead wrong. This is the exact reason why you don't join a conference. And I'll take this a step further. Notre Dame has a conference problem, and it's the ACC. The ACC is such a disaster. The best team in the ACC, the best team, the chance it has to make a playoff, isn't playing interconference championship game.
Yeah.
If Miami plays in a conference championship game, is this an issue?
Yep. It solves itself.
It solves itself because they either win and get in or they lose and are knocked out. Yeah. It solves itself. Yep. This isn't a Notre Dame versus Miami problem. This is an ACC problem. And we've been looking at it wrong the whole time. If the fact that the ACC has a 7-5 football team playing for their title is ludicrous. It is freaking ludicrous. And that is a problem. Not only that, now the ACC, do you know how many times between now and Sunday they're going to play the Notre Dame Miami game on the ACC network channel?
Yeah.
13 times
Yeah.
over the next 5 days.
I saw that
play
tweet.
That game.
I saw that tweet where it was all that game. Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's so Pat.
Hold on. Let me finish my point.
Yeah.
If I'm Bavacqua, like when I talked about this on Monday, I was talking about the schedule and what the AC offers as a schedule and how that doesn't help Notre Dame. No, if I'm Bavacqua, I'm looking at the ACC and saying, not only have they not helped us with the schedule, but their mismanagement of their own conference.
Yeah.
The fact that they have
this scenario
allowed this to happen. It allowed this to happen. It would benefit the ACC if Notre Dame and Miami were in the playoff. It would benefit the ACC. It doesn't benefit the ACC having this internal battle between these two. So if I'm Bavacqua, I'm looking for every way out of this agreement. The ACC is a garbage conference. It's a dying conference. And you could pull the plug on the whole thing if you could figure a way out of it. And then this is never a problem for Notre Dame again. But this shouldn't be a problem this would never be a problem if Miami was actually playing for their conference championship game, which they should be. They're the best team in the conference, and they're not even playing for it.
Yeah. Yep. It is it is a complicated layered dynamic. So are you on the side of Notre Dame and Miami are done? They've been compared, and maybe they bump up side to side if BYU loses, but that comparison's already been made, and Notre Dame could be fairly safe. Or do you think they're really setting this up for the big flip?
I mean, when I first saw it, I immediately went, "Oh my God, they're setting us up for the big flip." I struggle with the thought, like, how can you reasonably say from jump Notre Dame's been better than Miami? They did it from jump.
Yep.
How can you say that? Both teams win out, and then when neither team is playing, you let one jump the other.
Yeah.
This cluster stuff is so annoying. It's so annoying. Now, number one, the committee said they already clustered. Number two, you ranked Notre Dame higher for a reason. You did it for a reason. You ranked Miami. What did they come up? Miami came out like 19 or something like that.
There was in the first one.
Yeah, there was a reason behind that. All right. And it had nothing to do with their head-to-head with Notre Dame. It had to do with that they lost to terrible teams. And then you're gonna hold that position for 5-6 weeks and then just flip it on a whim.
Yeah.
When neither team plays, that blows my mind. But I'm not. Here's my next step. I'm not going to be mad. I'm not going to be mad because at the end of the day, we can only blame ourselves for it. Like Miami
you'll
fans,
be mad. You'll be mad at us.
I'm going to be mad at us.
Yeah.
I'm going to be mad at us. We put ourselves into this ACC agreement.
Yeah.
We lost those 2 football games.
Yeah.
This is Notre Dame's doing. And so I'm going to be mad at Notre Dame. I'm not going to be mad at the committee. I think the committee is just, I don't know if I feel like this is a play just to say, wow, if it's 16 teams next year and then this isn't a problem, but then it'll be a problem for the 17th.
17th. Yeah.
And then the other thing, this Tulane or North Texas. Oh God, are you serious? Like, again, not a problem if Tulane or North Texas are not in it.
Yeah.
It's not a problem because they don't belong. If they're at 12, fine.
Yeah.
If like Boise State was last year, Boise State was inside the top 12.
There should be a threshold. You should have to be.
It's called 12 because it's a 12-team playoff. That's the freaking threshold. Yeah, it's a 12-team playoff. If you can't make it to 12, you don't belong in. I don't care if you're the ACC champion and you're 17. If you are 17, the reason you're 17 and an ACC champion is because the ACC sucks. You don't belong in.
Yeah, it is wasted spots at the bottom, and it really does feel like there are more competitive teams that would make the playoff better without that. It's just kind of a joke, man. Like 2 spots out of 12 are like garbage, kind of
garbage. It's a 10-team. It's a 10-team playoff, and there's 2 throwaway teams.
Yeah,
That's really what it comes down
Yeah,
to.
it's frustrating. And so I don't know where this falls.
Yeah,
Again,
I don't.
my take is I don't necessarily have a problem with some of the moves. It's the path we're getting there and the illogical philosophy to arrive there that I have a real issue with. Yeah,
Inconsistent philosophy.
it's
It's
bad.
just very inconsistent. It's just
Yeah.
wrong. But I mean, it is what it is now. What are you going to do? I think this. No matter what happens, like I said, it's going to be what it's going to be. I, I still sit there and think, man, how do you not have Notre Dame in it? That Notre Dame is favored in their first round games.
Yep.
Notre Dame
Yeah.
is got the fourth best odds to win the whole
to
thing.
win it all. Yep.
So Vegas likes Notre Dame.
Yeah. The FPI has them at third behind Ohio State and
Yeah.
Indiana. All those metrics have Notre Dame lined up right there.
Yeah. It's just I just don't get it. I don't see it. So I'm still struggling with the thought that they're actually going to do this flip, but I'm not going to be surprised by it because of the Alabama thing. And I think that's just to protect Alabama.
Oh yeah.
It's only to protect. That's really what I think it was. It was to protect to allow Alabama to lose, to fall back to 10. Notre Dame goes back up to 9. The BYU Texas Tech game, John. I think I texted you. I think we need BYU to win. No, you can't. BYU's not in it. If BYU beats Texas Tech,
we're out, and Miami's
out, and Miami's out.
Yeah,
it's a completely different thing. So BYU has to lose.
Yeah.
You can't BYU has to lose. They don't help you. They only hurt you. Yeah. So you need BYU to lose because you're out if they win.
And then I guess you hope Georgia pounds Bama by 3 scores or something.
You need Georgia to really pound Bama to make it be like, how do you justify Bama being in this game after their loss at home, they're almost losing to Auburn and getting blown out.
So then
Georgia.
I guess you hope.
And then that puts Miami back in. It puts Notre Dame and Miami in.
I hope you look, and they could always do the buffer. I'm so worked up today. Alabama could look bad, and you could keep them in the field, but buffer them between Notre Dame and Miami to create that distance and that discussion if they wanted to. That's still in play.
Yeah.
But it's all frustrating. We did it to ourselves. Control your own destiny. You don't have to rely on all these other outcomes. And by the way, as far as the outcomes, really unlucky. Notre Dame did this to themselves, but it is rare to run into a year on the back half where you don't have a couple upsets.
Chalk.
You didn't have nothing.
Chalk.
You didn't have anything. So you're not getting any. You put yourself in a bad spot. You could have lucked out of it the last few weeks and nothing broke your way.
I mean, you think about it. We were in the same spot last year.
Man.
And we were worried about making it, and we made it to a home game. Yeah. We haven't moved from 9.
Yeah.
We haven't moved from 9.
So it has been a rough dynamic there. Pat, anything else? I knew you were going to have some thoughts on it. And
I have one more thing, and to couple it with the recruiting talk. USC is the number 1 ranked team in the country because they're taking like 35 kids.
Yeah, they got like 23 stars.
Notre Dame has the best class in the country. They're going to be the number 1 recruiting class in the country.
Could get better, by the way.
I know.
I
expect that text message after the show.
I am holding to that class could even get better, and I don't have a time frame, but it could. We haven't
seen a class like this at Notre Dame since 88, 87, 89.
It's a really.
We haven't seen that
elite class.
Couple that with if Notre Dame actually doesn't make the playoff. Outside of the ruining the ability to see more of Love and Price and some of these seniors who have battled.
It's going to spark a different animal this offseason.
This is going to be a different football team next year.
Yep.
This is going to have a different angry. John, I'm going to be I will not be surprised if Miami backs out again of a Notre Dame football game because that team is going to destroy people. This is going to be a Frank Leahy style football team.
Pat, I have a whole separate set of notes for if Notre Dame doesn't make it. and it is right in line with where you're at of what kind of animal that
Yeah.
rage
It
and
is.
that frustration would build going into this next offseason. Combine that with an easier start, light schedule to begin next year, and you're looking at a different kind of animal with a different edge.
It's going to be so different.
Now, I know that's loser talk, but it's like if we're in that position, I got to take from it what I can take from it. Yeah.
This is what I'm like. This is a lesson learned for Marcus, right?
Yeah.
Northern Illinois was a lesson learned.
Yeah.
Okay. This is another lesson learned. Look how he responded from Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
I expect the same kind of response from this.
Yeah.
That this is good. He will never leave the chance again. He's going to have that team ready to play week 1, and it's going to blow the doors off of everyone next year.
Yeah, it's I'm right with you on that's a separate set of notes in the office already printed off if we don't make it what I see coming next. Pat, thanks a lot for joining on Wednesday morning. I knew you were going to have some thoughts for us. Thanks a lot, buddy. Have a good one. Oh man. All right, a couple chats and then we'll keep it moving. We'll see what you guys think. Good morning to everybody. Ryan Roberts, how you doing, buddy? Good to see everybody. Pilney, losing late in the season to 2 unranked teams is getting lost in the sauce here. Hey, committee, when does that matter? If Miami handled their business, we wouldn't be in this position. You're certainly correct. Armadillo, $5. Be honest, Canes are just good as us, Paper and I. We lost to them. We're out. It's that simple. If it were that simple, have Miami ranked out of Notre Dame already. That argument you're making isn't my problem. It's the philosophy and the project of getting to that conclusion that I have a problem with. You could argue what you're arguing, but that's not what the committee said. That's the problem I have. If the committee said what Armadillo's saying, I could live with it. That's not what they said. They said Notre Dame was playing at a higher level and better or whatever, and nothing's changed. That's the problem I have. This is an argument that makes sense, but that's not what they're saying. And that's the issue that I got. We already did this one. $5 olive from the sauce. I get the frustration. I am too, but this recruiting class is phenomenal. The future's bright, even if now it's cloudy. Absolutely. Wonderful recruiting class. Could end up top 1 in the country. $5 olive Mark. This class and a mature CJ Carr wins the Natty in 27. Book it. Just kicking the can down the road. $10 Aller Pilney. Miami and ND are mirror images of each other in one respect. Mess around and find out. Don't take care of business, you'll be left. Yeah. You're absolutely right. It applies to both of them. $2 Aller from the Dong. Alabama is Georgia's kryptonite. Yep. We'll see. Bruce, losing in week 1 still counts as a loss. Miami beat Notre Dame head-to-head. I can't believe Notre Dame's don't understand wins and losses. Bruce, you are intentionally and willfully misunderstanding everything I'm saying. That's what goes on here. People have a narrative in their mind, and whatever I say, you're going to manipulate it to make it seem like I'm not saying it. Like, I don't understand. Losing in week 1 still counts. That is not my problem. My issue is the committee's philosophical inconsistency on the roadmap to arrive to that damn conclusion. That's the problem. If the committee just said, same record, Miami beat them, they're ahead of Notre Dame all along, we're not having this discussion. But that's not what they said. They said Notre Dame was a better team that was playing better and all this, and nothing's changed. And now suddenly they're going to flip it? You got to understand my complaint. Some of you are willfully not doing that. Bruce is loose in terms of his brain and how he's thinking of this. That's not the argument that I've been making. Give me a break. Brian, welcome to the show. Good morning. What's up, buddy?
Hey, John, you hear me?
I got you. What's on your mind?
Cool, man. Thanks for having me. First time on here. I got hooked on you last year, and I've loved everything you had to say. I can go any way with this, man. I'm in South Florida, so I got Canes fans yelling at me every which way possible, and I agree with you. They beat us. It is what it is. I think we trounce them right now, but if you got these two teams lined up, I understand it. Now, this committee is out of whack Like, I don't understand their system, and all I can say is it's a SEC bias all week for every show on ESPN and SEC screaming Miami, Notre Dame, trying to get you to avoid that Oklahoma should have lost to a coachless team at home without a starting quarterback. Alabama, they actually, in an interview, said, we're going to move these guys up because they blew a 17-point lead and had to battle back in overtime against a coachless team. And I think it's all to avoid it's to make us all the attention towards us in Miami, and we get the bitter end because we'll be side by side if you assume that Texas Tech takes care of BYU. People, I want to be optimistic and say that if Georgia beats Alabama, they'd move back, but they're not going to lose Alabama, because if you put Alabama next to Miami, well, now Miami can go, Florida State beat the hell out of you, and we took care of business with them. So they don't want Alabama anywhere near Miami, because that comparison hurts Alabama as well. The only other thing I hear is the championship games are not supposed to hurt these teams unless they get blown away, I suppose. So if they hold to that to keep Alabama in, then they better hold to that if it's a close game with Texas Tech and BYU, where BYU loses by 3 points, then they should stay at 11 to keep that buffer between us. In the end, you're right. We did it to ourselves. I mean, we stepped on our own foot, and we leave these people who are haters to control our destiny, and that's our fault. But
hey man, you brought up a really good point about BYU. If they're on this thing of not penalizing teams that make it to a championship game and lose, then that would still technically have the buffer between Notre Dame and Miami then.
Yeah, that's right? My argument. Yeah, that's my argument, John, but I don't think they're hoping we don't even pay attention to that. You get what I'm saying? Like, they're all about the SEC getting in there. So that if they're going to say, well, because I can already hear Paul Feinbaum, well, you can't get Alabama out for making it to the SEC championship. Okay, I'll take that, but then BYU better stay where they're at for making it there. It's right. In the end, it's our fault. We did it to ourselves. But if they want to go with every insane argument that they have, there's a counter argument to every one of those as well. And I'm telling you, they do not want – we're in a bad spot, man. And we did it to ourselves, but their whole logic on jumping it really sucks, because we don't have a ground. We can cry all day about, hey, they lost to two crappy teams, but in the end, Miami beat us head-to-head. It is what it is, and they don't want Miami next to Alabama, because then their comparison is the Florida State game. And I don't know how that gets forgotten in the woodworks of how Alabama played against a terrible, atrocious team, but, there's so many different elements to go with this, and I'm just praying we get a shot and get in, but I saw that move last night as a hurtful one, and all I'm thinking is I don't even think Georgia's that good, and we proved that last year, but I think they need to blow Alabama out of the water, which I don't see happening. And Texas Tech takes care of business and we both get in. But, that's all I got. You pretty much nailed everything I was thinking anyways, but I wanted to bring up that point of Florida. They do not want Miami next to Alabama because of that Florida State comparison. And if they're going to play the championship game card, they better leave BYU right at number 11 with the buffer. But that's all I got, man. I appreciate listening to you, and thanks for having me in.
Hey, man, really, really good first-time call, right to the point with a lot of good points. Terrific job, man. Come back around. Really good first call. Thank you, Brian.
You got it, baby. Go Irish.
Great job. Right to the point, had his points, laid it out. Really, really impressive. Good job on the first one there. Really, really good job. Mike, what's going on? Welcome this morning. If you're on hold, you're going to be on the air. What's going on, Mike?
John, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing I'm wired tight. I'm always wired tight, but this stuff's really bothering me. And again, I want to be clear. Number one, it's Notre Dame's fault we're in this position. But number two, it isn't necessarily the moves that are done or proposed. It is the philosophy and the path of logic that we're arriving at them at. I have a problem with.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, just FYI, this is Mike in Oklahoma. Okay. So I'm kind of new to your little format that you have here versus the old call-in line. So apologize for any any
No,
misstep or whatever.
everything's
But
perfect. Everything sounds great. What's on your mind, man? Thanks for joining.
so I'm not going to make anybody feel any better about the things that like Pat said and what you have been lining out and what we all know, and that is, there's a lot of people in football. Myself as a former high school head football coach here in Oklahoma, Tim Hyde, Goolsby. Certainly, there's great football minds, greater than mine, obviously. Those in ESPN, everywhere that we all on your format and other formats have seen, everybody's talking about, the one common thing, the commonality in all this, and that is what do your eyeballs tell you? What do you see on the field? What's the product? What is the product today? And I'm not going to make people feel good with what I'm about to say, as if it couldn't get any worse for us. So I've had the fortune this year to be able to go see the University of Oklahoma with my own eyeballs twice. Now my daughter goes there. She didn't want to go there once she stepped foot on campus the day we moved in. In fact, it was a sad day for her. And I'm like, "You want to go to Notre Dame now?" She goes, "I can't." So that's my connection with OU. I have a daughter that attends there. She's in medical school. So I've been to 2 games this year. First one was the Ole Miss game. Second one was the Tennessee game. And I'm just telling you guys, and anybody that listens to this replay on YouTube or wherever you get this, that team in Norman and the Ole Miss team do not even compare with what Notre Dame puts on the field. There's that thing about hat on hat. There's that team speed thing. Those guys cannot line up with Notre Dame. They cannot. There is no team speed. There is no running game. There is no passing game. They have decent defenses. Our offense would light up OU's defensive backfield, and I know they have Peyton Bowen and Eli Bowen back there, but our offense would light them up. In fact, the top 4, 5, 6 offenses that are in this BCS rank would light OU up. This is the thing that's frustrating. The fact that we let that Texas A&M game get out of our hands. Now we're sitting here fighting to try to even get in the football playoffs. And you look at the teams that are above you, and all we need is a chance. Just let us in. Let us in Norman. Let us at Ole Miss, Alabama. Let us in, and we will handle business.
Hey, Vegas agrees. Vegas agrees. When you look at the title odds and the matchup projection, like point spreads, it all agrees with what you're saying. But here, Notre Dame is maybe about to get bumped.
Here we are here, and and I know everybody probably was watching that LSU game. It's like you said, for the last few weeks we're sitting there. Okay, who are we all rooting for this week? Who are we rooting for this week? And then it comes down to the last weekend, and I'm watching this LSU game, and it's just like LSU is a dead fish. They have no coach. They literally have no quarterback. They have a couple of defensive backs, and you're just sitting there, and this team is in the game and had a chance to win. And I'm just looking at this ranking last night, and I'm like, okay, look, I know we shot ourselves in the foot, but my God, how in the hell is a team like OU ranked where they are? I just don't get it. Yeah. And Ole Miss is the same. Guys, that Ole Miss team was garbage, and they nearly ran away with that game against OU. But anyways, I digress. We're here where we are. And it doesn't make this recruiting gift that we got this morning with all these great players coming in. It doesn't make me feel any better, because how many years do we say, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, look at this recruiting class, look at this recruiting class, look at," and what's the fruit of it? For the last 3 years we've had good recruiting classes. Now we don't get a chance to show that potentially.
Yeah, I'm with you. It is it's just the most Notre Dame thing in the world to end up in this position. Do you understand what I mean when I say that? It's uniquely Notre Dame to be at the center of all of the biggest controversy and everybody. It's so wild to me that Notre Dame finds himself in a position again to be at the centerpiece of the biggest drama in the whole sport. It's absolutely wild.
That's a great point, and I wouldn't take away from what Pat said. It was a very intelligent point about, and it's what we're all thinking. Well, Marcus is going to learn from this, and I'm just cringing in my seat, because I'm like, wait a second, we had our chance with 10 men on the field against Ohio State, we had our chance to collect everything together and say, okay, what's our fallback? What's our contingency plan? What do we do now that we had 10 men on the field? Now that we lost to NIU, now we've lost to Marshall. There's got to be smart guys in that room that said, look, Marcus, we got to cover all these things. When Texas A&M comes here, we can't let the refs dictate the end of that game. We can't let them drive down the field. We can't let a fourth and forever end our season. We got to make sure we're not in that position. Where was that? We had these opportunities to clean all this stuff up, and we still didn't do it. And I don't care about the Miami game. Let them have that win. I'm more frustrated as you are, and a lot of people are, with the end result of the Texas A&M game, because if that play doesn't happen on that fourth down, if Heinrich doesn't get sacked, if we don't let him drive down the field, whatever you want to say, if that doesn't happen, Buckner's hold, whatever, we're not talking about this. And that's the thing. And that's the thing that we should have had going into this year. Remove all doubt. Don't let the rest come into play. Take care of business. We didn't do that. And we knew we had to do things like this because of NIU, because of the 10 men on the field of Ohio State. And it still happened.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
you know,
tough. Yep, it's the toughest Notre Dame-iest dynamic you can imagine, and I'm frustrated with all of it. I'm frustrated with us not taking care of business, allowing us to be in this position. And I'm going to keep repeating it. I'm not necessarily frustrated with some of the moves, but the philosophy they're taking to get there makes no logical sense, and I have a real problem with the process. And the one thing I think I've learned from this is, I believe we're going to go to a 16-team field here. Like, if anything, this fuels that there is enough viewership. You could go to 16 and people are still going to care. I think that this dynamic adds the likelihood this thing expands even more. That's the only thing I'm kind of certain of in this whole dynamic.
well, and there's the other troubling thing. I don't disagree with your point, but what I would say is, if there's teams like Tulane and James Madison, I've seen models with these guys in there, and North Texas, and it's like, well, guys, what are we doing here? And I'm not going to be selfish and say blue bloods only. Texas, Notre Dame,
Well,
Bama, Georgia are the only ones
your
that get.
way in. If you
But,
earn your way into the bracket, you get a chance.
yeah, but my gosh, John, 16. Do we want to see James Madison in the playoff? I mean, good gosh, it'd be 65-0,
You're
and
going
then
to watch.
everybody's going to.
People are
Yeah,
going to watch it. You and I both know when you get to
yeah.
playoff time, people are going to watch every one of those games, man, especially when it's those windows where it's only one game and there's none overlapping. People are going to watch the playoffs. Like, you could keep going and people are going to watch.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but I'm a 12 person or even an eight team playoff person. I don't think expanding it is the answer to help us out if that's the case. But I understand your logic. But anyways, we're here. And hey, we still got one more week. Anything could happen. These guys they're old men. There's a bunch of old men in there. They could wake up and feel completely different come Sunday after the playoff games, or after the championship games on Saturday. And who knows, maybe they switch us and Bama again because Bama didn't look good. That's the optimism that we have to have.
Yeah, man, man, what a wild time with all the recruiting and all this drama and everything at the same time. It is just like never a dull moment in Notre Dame land. Mike, thanks for joining us
Thank
today.
you.
Really, I appreciate it. Join again.
Absolutely. Thanks, John.
Thank you. I like getting some new people in here. We're going to get our regulars, but I feel an obligation to get some new people in. Noah, what's going on?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for calling. What's up?
I just want to talk about the whole playoff bracket and the whole Miami stuff. Obviously, after we went 0-2 in our first 2 weeks, well 3 weeks, right, with the bye. I really didn't think we would make the playoffs, and now we're sitting here at the end of the year, and we have Miami, who I think is a top 12 team, Notre Dame, who's a top 12 team. And the bracket itself is basically saying we'd rather have two teams who don't deserve to be in the G5, and I'd even say the ACC winner.
Yeah.
Whoever wins that really shouldn't be in the playoff. The way Virginia's played, not very good. Duke is 7-5.
Yep.
If they win it, they might not even make the playoff.
Correct. Which would mean what? You would end up with 2 group of 5 champions in, like, as the bottom 2?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
And I saw FanDuel lines. JMU, they would be 18-point underdogs at
Yeah.
Oregon.
Yeah,
Who
it
wants to
is.
watch a blowout?
Yep. Yep. And I don't know. I understand they want to give a shot to the little guy or whatever, but man, I think there should be a threshold. You would have to be ranked within like a certain area to be able to
I
apply
agree.
for that. So you're not just blanking out. It's annoying when they have the teams in the bracket at 11 and 12, but they're not going to hold because they're reserved for the junior high teams that are going to take them. It's like a weird exercise.
Well, the thing is too, like they said, they don't want to make it so conference people who play in a conference championship get, you know, left out because they played in their conference championship. Which obviously, I mean, I agree. Like, you shouldn't be left out of your or out of the playoffs just because you played in a conference championship. But the thing is, are you deserving to be there, right? Like, if you're a top 12 team and you're playing in your conference championship, I don't think you should be left out.
Yeah.
Um, but I think, if they change it to where, it's the top 12 teams, there's no G5, none of this matters, right? Because
Yeah.
Miami and Notre Dame would both be in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's it's man, it's just so frustrating. And it comes back to us not taking care of business. But it is just it is going to be tough if you do get
yeah.
flipped and you're the first team out. It is going to be a really rough
Oh
off
yeah.
season.
Yeah.
It's going
I
to be a
agree.
rough off season around here.
I agree. And the thing is too with the playoff committee, it's very inconsistent.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, the whole format, it can be improved. In this committee, I mean, it's just it doesn't make any sense. So
Yep. It's the logic they're using to arrive at their conclusions is what I have an issue with more than some of the conclusions. And it's very, very frustrating. And that is why you cannot leave your fate, your program's fate, in the hands of this committee or praying for a bingo card full of games that are a parlay that all have to hit for you
yeah,
to do something. So it's totally frustrating. And then you wrap it in Notre Dame having this elite recruiting class, no decommitments, totally intact, a legitimate top 3 class. Like, it's just the weirdest Notre Dame week in a long time.
yeah. And the last thing I want to say before I go, the best thing that could happen to the G5 is if they got their own playoff. They would actually be able to play for something.
Mm.
They shouldn't be playing out of their league, man. I
Yeah.
think that would be good for them if they had their own playoff.
Yeah, that does that makes sense as well. But yeah, it is frustrating feeling like those bottom 2 spots are throwaway spots when they're really, really good, tough teams right in that area that
Yeah.
aren't eligible. It's very, very frustrating. And I don't know if there will be an adjustment to that moving forward or not.
Hopefully.
It's super frustrating. Anything else, man? Thanks for joining.
Yeah, no, that's it. Like, thanks for taking my call. Hopefully things work out, but I'm definitely nervous, as I'm sure everyone else is. But let's have to see. It's not in our hands, so we can't really do anything about it.
Yep, we'll see what happens. Noah, thanks for joining on a Wednesday morning,
Absolutely.
buddy. Appreciate you. Thanks. Chicago's very own. Good morning, buddy.
Hey, hi, John. Kind of a melancholy morning for me. My Fenwick Friars won the state. They beat Big East St. Louis. That was amazing, and that was their offensive line is bigger than Notre Dame's.
Yeah.
I mean, they got D1 talent all over the shop.
Congratulations, man. I'm happy for you. Represent our old Catholic league, baby.
Oh,
Good job.
absolutely. It did it well, but that was a bitter pill to swallow last night. So, first things off, Patrick Cotter. That was the best call I've ever heard today. Yeah, Monday and today. Everything he said, he's spot on, right? And I agree with him 100%. There's a couple of things that I would tweak, and I got in an argument with Tim Hyde in the chat about it. Let's talk about the opinions of the bias. To your point, John, how could Notre Dame be where they were for the last several weeks, and then all of a sudden this, no, I don't think so. Without a bias. I mean, I'm going to go back to what happened Saturday night in the radio broadcast when Ryan Harris, our own Notre Dame's Ryan Harris, was openly talking about the collusion that's going on between the Big Ten, the ACC, and them wanting to have the good old boy network. They want 5 teams from the SEC in there. If Tim Hyde, all due respect, doesn't think there's an anti-Notre Dame bias in the country, who's being naive, Tim? Come on. It's a living, breathing thing. Crying Belly argued with me on that this morning. Look, it is a matter of opinion, but I'm telling you, my experience in my lifetime, all the things that I've run against, there is a Notre Dame bias and it runs deep, and it's decades. It's 8 decades, 9 decades old.
And that is why, Tom, you can't allow yourself to be
That's
in a position where you're at the whim of people that are maybe have reasons to not like you, right?
Well, there's 100%. So on the flip side, let's talk about Marcus Freeman, okay? I made this mention in the comment a few days ago, and West Palm Pat jumped on me because I said, we got to give Marcus a little bit more time because he's still on the job training. And West Palm says, well, I don't buy that because we're paying him $10 million a year. Well, I don't care if they're paying him $10 or $10 million a year, whether you like it or not. The first 3 weeks of this season proves all we need to know, that Marcus Freeman and his coaching staff were not totally locked in. Their talent evaluation was not national championship contender ready. Now, who's being honest now, Tim Hyde? Let's talk about that. That is the Achilles heel. So Marcus Freeman has to put on his big boy trousers with this recruiting class that's coming in. We've got gap closing talent coming into Notre Dame finally.
Yeah.
And the returning underclassmen that are on there. Sometimes you're going to have to gamble, especially early on next year, and you got to let your thoroughbreds run. I don't care if it's a $5,000 claiming race and it's their first race. You got to let the thoroughbreds run their race. Let's see where they are. Well, to Notre Dame's benefit, because of that piss poor schedule next year, he could play a lot of underclassmen early. Let's find out what we have, because these kids want to compete, and because of the NIL money, look at. I was listening to Jack Sullivan a little bit last night talking about the money that Joey O'Brien's going to bring in. How do you not put that kid on the field?
Yeah,
at least get the best look. Ohio State, and for almost 3 decades now, has gotten 2 or 3 freshmen a year to start. All of the other good teams that can, Georgia, Alabama, the same thing over the last 20 years, right? So now it's Notre Dame's turn. I think they've got to just go for broke, coach these kids up. And I think Marcus Freeman also has to take a long look at Joe Rudolph, and he's got to take a long look at Ash still. And they have to figure that out, because you can't not misevaluate this talent going into next year. Because
what's interesting to me is next year is almost the exact inverse schedule-wise of Notre Dame this year, because you start out with the lightest schedule you could possibly imagine.
Yes.
And then your tough games are later in the year. It is a complete inversion. And I'm hoping Notre Dame, builds momentum with 5 or 6 big wins in a row here to get going. It's an inversion.
It is. And did you say it or did Pat, and watch, and I still don't trust Miami. Watch them back out at this next year's game.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
And that's the other part of the situation. So with all that's going on, that's out of our control. It's out of Notre Dame's control. Is the backhanded stuff that's going on between all the conferences, because Boomer Esiason said it on WFAN yesterday. He was another one beating the drum, talking about, well, if I was in the Big Ten or the SEC or the Big 12, I would never schedule Notre Dame. So that's that narrative.
Yeah.
So
Hey, Pat, update. Pat's saying we don't know the date of the Miami game next year. I thought I saw a tweet that came out that it was November, the beginning of November. Am I wrong? I swear I saw Miami put out a tweet that said they're on the schedule with Notre Dame, and I thought it was November 1st. I could be wrong, but I swear I saw a tweet come across from a news outlet in Miami saying that Notre Dame game with us was scheduled for early November in South Bend. Somebody check it. Tell me if I'm wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, well, that's okay. And then do we know if USC is on the schedule yet?
John Bryce of Football Scoop said last week, November 7th is that Miami game. I thought that was on the schedule. Yeah, it is November 7th.
Okay.
John Bryce at Football Scoop said last week, Notre Dame and USC were going to sign a 2-year temporary agreement to give both sides time to figure out a more permanent thing, which would mean we would go out to LA to finish out next year.
Oh, and that just so happens to be the 100th anniversary of the USC Notre Dame. So I'm glad they're doing that. So
yeah,
USC, hopefully there's an uptick there. It should be, they're going to be good. I mean, I don't know how they're not, unless he didn't get any defensive players.
Yeah, we'll see.
That
should
be
Tom, let me bring it back to this week. I want to know, do you think we get bumped and this is setting up for Miami to bump us? Or do you think Notre Dame holds them off and whatever happens with Alabama, they're going to do, but Notre Dame ends up just getting in? What does your gut tell you?
I still believe a little bit that they just squeak in by the hair of their chinny chin chin. And it's all based on Georgia beating Alabama and Texas. I think Texas Tech is the key, right? So
if that doesn't happen, it doesn't matter for Notre Dame or Miami. So we could both be mad.
Yeah, that's true. So I just don't know what to. I'm done arguing about it. It is what it is.
It's exhausting. This whole process is not enjoyable, and it is thoroughly exhausting and frustrating. And it is just a Notre Dame hate fest from every direction. And I have so much anxiety. It's not enjoyable.
No, and it's not. And quite frankly, the guys that were arguing with me in the chat telling me that there's no. That the playoff committee has been good to Notre Dame. There's no bias. Well, if they were good for Notre Dame all year, then why the change all of a sudden last night?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make sense. That look, John, if they go to the 16 team next year and they don't change the current criteria for getting in, that's going to be a real mess. I mean,
you're going to have all of the SEC with 3 losses in.
Without a doubt. I mean, and what's this other scenario somebody told me about? If Duke were to win the ACC this year, there's a chance a Mountain West team gets in. Really? Here's the deal.
Yeah, because you could end up with, it's the 5 highest rated conference champs. They could take 2 group of 5 champs and leave the ACC out.
And if does Boise State help us at all?
I think if they win, it does in theory, because then they would win whatever and we would beat them and that looks good. But Jesus, if you're coming down to relying on that, God help me.
So that's why you're just kind of, and back to square one.
Yeah,
we didn't take care of business in the first 3 weeks. And when I say 3 weeks, remember we had that bye between the first and second game. And what do we know about Marcus Freeman during bye weeks? Hello, Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you gotta get through. You gotta fix the early season stuff and come out sharp and all that.
Well, it boils down. So look, I hate to keep harping on that, but it's imperative, and it's not sexy to talk about it because it's the behind the scenes X's and O's. It's about perfect preparation,
Yeah.
talent evaluation, and getting your best 11 on the field at all times. And we have struggled all year and even last year where we know there's talent sitting. Why isn't he playing these kids?
Yeah.
I don't understand a lot of things that Denbrock does throughout the season.
Yeah. Well, you may have a long off season here to figure it out what we're gonna do. Hey, Tom, I love it, man. I love the intensity. I'm happy for you that your old school won the state championship, buddy. Anything else on the way out?
No, I just, hey, listen, if we do sneak in and then maybe we're getting maybe it's a little divine intervention that we get a rematch with Texas A&M. Oh boy, I'd lick my chops for that. I would love that, because what happened this past Saturday, what Texas showed, they exposed Marcel Reed at quarterback.
Yeah, it's we'll see, man. I don't know if they want a rematch in round 1 or not, what they're going to do there, but we'll see. Tom, I'm sure I'll talk to you offline, buddy.
God bless, guys. Take care. Go Irish.
Hey, go Fenwick. Good job to the Friars there. All right, I got to get caught up on a couple chats. We'll go right back to the calls. Theodore actually has a really good point. 100% on the Notre Dame sports information office and the AD office. No coordination, no alternative argument of why the head-to-head didn't matter in 93 when we beat the championship. No leverage. It is a good point. Is it below Notre Dame to campaign for themselves? Right? Like, you have the ACC putting out all those graphics on social media of why they should be in over Notre Dame and all this stuff. Is there no rebuttal by Notre Dame that's appropriate, or anything you could put out there? Or does that happen behind the scenes? I don't know how that works, but it is a fair point. Or does Notre Dame think that's below them to be bitching like that? Like, do they think that's like a low thing to do? I don't know. So it's a good question. It's a good question. Oh, boy. Couple more chats. We'll go right back. You guys. $10 holler Pilney. Maybe ND needs to get bumped out of this year's playoffs to get enough fire in the belly and focus. Ash and Denbrock, are you listening, to run the table next year? Yeah. I already have an episode pre-planned if Notre Dame is the first team bumped out and what that means for next year and what it changes and what it needs to do. I already have that episode fully prepared. Jack Lane has an interesting point. BYU loses, we get in. The Vegas odds are minus 480 for ND to make the playoff. The house always knows. I've seen people relying on that, looking at the Vegas odds for Miami and Notre Dame and everything, figuring that they have the inside scoop of how things are going to shake out or go. If you want to believe that, believe. But when I'm in a position where I'm supposed to trust this committee, this philosophically inconsistent committee, and the Las Vegas people, like, those are two people I don't trust a lot. Las Vegas gambling people and this committee. And I'm supposed to feel comfortable with my life in their hands. $5 holler. Committee saying the Canes have righted the ship. They look like the team that beat us, especially on defense. A month ago, they looked like Clemson. That's the angle here. The only angle that Phyllis Armadillo, this is good. This is the only angle that really does actually make sense of when you argue about that didn't matter before, but now it does. Now, how does that make sense? This is the only argument that makes logical sense. At that time, they had 2 bad losses in the middle of the season, and they were looking down. Now they've righted that ship, started beating people better, looked better. So they made up that ground where Notre Dame was at over the last month. And then that would make that dad come. That is the best pro-Miami argument that makes sense, Armadillo. That actually is a very good point. Texas Mac, $5 holler. Maybe the last year of playoffs actually hurting Notre Dame. No way SEC bias committee wanting Notre Dame to beat their champion again. Man, you totally new committee, different people on it. I can't think that has to do with it. Big time. Gene Wilder, top 5 class today. How about Notre Dame with 0 decommits? Yeah, it's a really damn good job to end up with what's going to be a top 3, 2, or maybe number 1 class if some things happen. No decommits, no drama. Everybody in is bought in. Really, really good job by everybody involved. Really, really good job with everybody involved. $5 holler, rotate. Just put the 12 best teams in it. I don't understand. Give the G5 their own playoff. They're never going to win a game or a title. They don't want to say just put the best 12 teams in, because then what are they going to be? 6 Big Ten teams and 6 SEC teams or something? Like, the other conferences want their little piece and then they negotiate. Like, right? You have all that going on. $5 holler from the skate rat. Bama has to get blown out. No, a loss is still a loss. If it's apples to apples, Notre Dame, BYU, Miami, it applies to Bama. 3 losses, 3 strikes, you're out. Here's the pushback, skate rat. Why should Alabama be penalized for losing in a game other teams don't have to play? That's the argument, right? Ole Miss and Oklahoma just chilling there, man. No risk of losing or anything else. So then, like, Alabama played well enough to get into the conference championship. I understand why, in theory, they don't want to ding you when a team that, in theory, accomplished less is safely in the playoff resting up. What a weird dynamic. Don't let the door hit y'all in the ass on the way out. Boomer Sooner. I got news for you. You're not winning anything. I don't think I've ever had an Oklahoma fan in here before. You're not winning anything. Is that not real? Have you not realized that yet? You have no offense. You're not winning anything. You may get in and Notre Dame might not, but you're still not winning anything. So settle down. What do you mean? I don't think I've ever had an Oklahoma fan in here. You guys aren't winning anything. Has no one ever told you that before? What are you, hanging out in the tumbleweeds or something in Oklahoma? You're not winning anything. Get serious. You like, literally, Notre Dame may miss this field. Notre Dame, Oklahoma's still not winning anything. Oh, man. This is doing a lot better than Notre Dame. Who y'all beat? Y'all got a wake-up call last night. What? This isn't even really your battle. I don't even know why you're here. This isn't even your fight to have. But I just needed you to know you're not winning anything. If you looked at this projected spread, Notre Dame, if Notre Dame went to your place, Notre Dame would be favored, man. That's what Vegas thinks of you. You're not winning anything. I do appreciate the reason to bust out my accent, though. I do appreciate that. Yeah, literally, your offense is terrible. You have a good defense. I'll give you that. Your offense is terrible, and you're not winning anything. It just keeps getting better. Yo, you're a dumbass. Not you're a dumbass. You're a dumbass. As if a dumbass could be smart. You're not winning anything. You may get in. Notre Dame may be left out, but let me be very clear. Your team isn't winning anything, so settle it down a little bit. Settle down a little bit. You're not winning anything. Your team's going nowhere except that, whether it's Notre Dame or anybody else. Unbelievable. Get a grip of reality. Smoke a tumbleweed. Whatever you want to do. Gnarly Weiss, what's going on?
Hey, Johnny, what's going on? How are you?
You know how I am. I mean, I am always wound tight as a default, and now I am. This is gonna be a stressful week.
John, I may have missed this before, so stop me if I'm being redundant. But what is with the ACC full-blown 1940 Goebbels propaganda machine coming from wherever, Virginia or the Carolinas? What is going on with that? Aren't we in contract with them?
Yeah, it is. That's a really, really interesting dynamic. It is. There are Notre Dame lawyers that are in my circle that are saying they believe they're probably already in some breach of contract for openly promoting against a fiduciary partner that you make money with, and some language in that contract about not going after them publicly when you're contracted to make money together. So I don't know, man, but it is kind of like, I don't know.
Five graphics or pictures a day on Twitter and Instagram. They played the Notre Dame versus Miami game on repeat on the ACC network.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily blame them for that, right? They have to push their guy because really it's all they got. But where is Notre Dame's pushback? Where is they interviewed Coach Freeman. Yeah, I think we're the best 12 teams. It's like, dude, could you sound more enthused than Eeyore? And what about Pete Bavacqua? Oh, I've heard he's mad behind the scenes. Well, so what does that mean? I do something. Where is our PR campaign? And the ACC has been running this for a month straight. So I think in this regard, we're behind the 8 ball. And you and I have talked before about like, hey, if we get left out, you can't feel too bad. But why does it seem like the independent media that follows Notre Dame has been pushing harder than your legacy media? Are they afraid of getting their credentials pulled?
Yeah, it is. It is a very interesting discussion. A part of it feels like like almost like a vibe of Notre Dame feels it would be below them to openly campaign in that way. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. And I don't know if it ultimately matters or not. Although, isn't it hard to kind of not feel like the public campaign pressure is involved here with them inching Miami closer to Notre Dame? Like you could see them setting it up. It's hard to not feel like the public campaign's getting to them.
You're starting to have politicians from Florida talking about the college.
Yeah,
All these
I
guys.
saw that.
First of all, these guys couldn't throw a football straight if their life depended on it. Second of all, shouldn't they be worried about like balancing their budgets? Third of all, shouldn't they be like hurricane proofing Florida maybe? But Notre Dame, in that regard, you're on the verge of getting left out. How about a little bit of emotion? And I know you mentioned it frequently, but like instead of lighting candles at the grotto, maybe the people that work at Notre Dame could get up and actually say something and do something instead of, well, we are the best 12 team. Well, we do deserve to be. Well, if we are, then let's get the media campaign going. Even when you talk about Jeremiah Love, his Heisman campaign media blitz wasn't overwhelming. If you're a 30 to 40-year-old man, you see more commercials for Cialis and Viagra than you do for Notre Dame football on a daily basis. And quite frankly, when you talk about like a million or multiple $1 million corporation, which Notre Dame is and represents, they need to be doing more.
Yeah, that is a really interesting angle. Before it was like, shouldn't they be doing more to promote Love's Heisman campaign? And now it's flipped into like, dude, do you want to make this tournament? So I do think it's a fair question to ask. And I would love to have a few beers with Bavacqua and have his real thoughts on the ACC agreement and how he feels about all this. But I am serious. There are Notre Dame lawyers telling me, I've seen these type of media agreements before. And there are things in there about not publicly going against somebody you make money with. It's really interesting. I don't know. And then you do what Pat said, and you build a rotation of a few Big 10 teams, Big 12 teams, SEC teams. You build a schedule. Keep the Clemson long-term agreement if you want to keep that going. Then do that for the ACC.
Sure. Yeah, maybe you keep Clemson. Maybe because of history, you keep your Boston College. Maybe you add Michigan. You've got a long-term contract, I think, recently with Michigan State.
Yeah.
You try and maybe do the USC if they want it. They'll be able to figure it out. But I think from ACC is doing exactly what you're supposed to do if you want to get a team in. But Notre Dame isn't countering that with anything. And either said previously, do they feel like they're above that? Is this like a moral superiority thing? Do they feel like Notre Dame's resume speaks for itself? Maybe to you and I it does, but clearly to the rest of the world it doesn't. And so just like you're reactive instead of proactive in this regard.
So where do you think this is headed, man? Do you really think they're setting up the Miami flip, or are you on the side of, Alabama could lose and then get wedged between them, and then Notre Dame could be fine and Notre Dame would move back into the 9? Like, do you believe the Miami thing's over, or are you buying into the worst case scenario? They're setting up a dramatic flip on Sunday.
All right. So I think that when you look at the College Football Playoff Committee, what you're witnessing is a breakdown in critical thinking. And it's happened in the past 2 weeks. A prime example of that is that you have a team that lost their head coach, but beat a team that was 1-8 in SEC play, doesn't have a head coach, and they moved up a position. And if you look at Ole Miss's resume, all of their ACC wins, besides the poorer teams, they have 5 or 6 wins just by a touchdown. You're not telling me the Lane Kiffin is worth a touchdown per game. So I don't think, and I hate to say it, the kids don't deserve this, right? But there's no way that they're going to be able to be competitive in the college football playoff, and let alone they went up. They went up after beating a terrible team. Secondly, I think that flipping Alabama and Notre Dame, that was done to protect Alabama in case Alabama loses a close one to Georgia.
Yeah.
And then you got to think the reason why I'm so amped up about Notre Dame's lack of media presence during the past 3 weeks is because I think the college football playoff is swaying under the weight of public opinion.
Yeah.
No one talks about Notre Dame unless they're good, right? And then it became no one talked about Notre Dame unless they're boxing your team out of the tournament.
Yeah.
And you've talked about this recently. If you go on Twitter, all you see on, like, you and I are on Twitter to look at Notre Dame, but all we see is Notre Dame bashing.
Yep.
And I understand that you don't want to get into maybe the politics of it all, but if you've got a college playoff committee that is going to, like a wind chime, just sway with the wind, then I don't know, maybe Notre Dame needs to buy 50,000 Twitter bots and put them out there.
Shouldn't that group, with this immense power they have been given, be above that sway? Like, shouldn't that group really believe in what they're doing and why enough that they're not looking at Twitter to guide what they're going to do next week? Like, the power they've been given should be greater than to be swayed by Twitter trolls, I would like to think.
The problem that you and I have, and maybe even folks that are a little bit older than us, folks that were born in the early 80s, and now we're talking about the 70s and the 60s, is we think that common sense prevails. Yeah. But we need to come to grips with the fact that presidential elections are impacted heavily by the media, right? Whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, things like that. And so if a presidential election or a local election could be impacted, and that's either way, that's not like pro-Democrat or pro-Republican. If a presidential election can get swayed by the media, then of course, like, these people who aren't used to getting criticism, they could be swayed easily by whatever Twitter.
Yeah, it is. And they could have. Are you with me on my position that it isn't necessarily the moves or potential moves that bother me? It's the rationale to get there. Makes no sense. They could have set up a Bama out of Notre Dame and a Miami out of Notre Dame in a way with a presented argument that I could go, yeah, that sucks for us, but I get what they're saying. And if that's how they see it, what are you going to do? Like, they could have done this and made it make sense. They chose not to. And now we're meandering through the wilderness with 4 days left.
I've got no problem with Notre Dame being left out of the college football playoff if you simply said, we don't feel the resume isn't good enough. And
they lost the head-to-head. We got to honor that. I could live with that.
Or maybe a month ago, we were ranked at 15, right? Last we were closer to being ranked number 8 than we were to being ranked number 10.
Yeah.
And then you have the flawed logic of a team loses its coach in the middle of the night and they go up a spot because they beat a team that's 1-8 in the SEC. Yeah. I think, like, make it make sense. When is it going to start to make sense? And when is the consistency going to start to mirror what we want in terms of professionalism?
It was the next thing out of my mouth is, I think while everyone disagrees on all these issues, the one thing I think every college football fan agrees on is the philosophical inconsistencies with the committee is the biggest problem with it. Is just it's just every week, it's just kind of, what are we going to get now? And what reason are they going to get? And you just wait and see, and it changes. And I don't know if they have the self-awareness to step out and see how philosophically inconsistent their reasoning is sometimes. Like, when you're asked about Alabama out of Notre Dame, you could have given reasons that made a lot more sense than they went for it on 4th down against a 5-win team with no coach. The guy literally used that as a reason. Like, you could have come up with 10 other arguments that I would have felt better with than that one. Like, and again, it drives you nuts because Notre Dame allowed themselves to be in this stupid ass position. We did it to ourselves, and it's driving me crazy.
what about when they said, well, teams that aren't playing this week, are they kind of stuck in the ranking that they are? No, somehow they can move up and down. Well, that indicates that you're punishing teams that are in the championship games. That's a new thing. That wasn't done last year, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. Yeah, idle teams could move up. Like if there's blowouts in the conference championships, idle teams should be able to move, right? But not in relation to each other when they don't play. If Notre Dame and Miami both move up, they both move up. But the one that was below the other one can't move ahead of that one when nobody plays. They could both move up as idle. I have no issue with that, but not flipped.
Okay, if teams can move who are idle based on the results of games that they aren't in, because of potential blowouts, you're going to have teams like Alabama and Georgia that say, all right, we're not going to play a championship game then. That's it. We're fine. We're both in the playoff. We don't want to risk getting kicked out. And it's cemented in stone now. So they're setting themselves up for, I think, more trouble down the line.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And you know what, man? I don't know what you do about these conference championship games because they're becoming an inconvenience with the playoff and how it's situated. And are you not maybe better off being like Ole Miss or something or A&M now and just chilling and you're in the playoff and you have you're one loss and you're fine. I don't know. So I don't know how this is going to go. I'm going to lose my mind till Sunday. All of it is very stressful and annoying. Anything else, Liam? Thanks for joining me. I know you're probably at work.
No, I'm on my quick lunch break right now. But no, I'm having difficulty wrapping my head around this. But once again, John, this goes back to what you said almost 3 months ago. You don't want to be in the position to have your hand out for help.
Yep.
You're Notre Dame and you're independent and you're unaffiliated, in all likelihood, you're not going to get the help that you need. So you can't be in that position by the first.
Yeah. And you know what else does blow my mind? Acknowledging Notre Dame messed up, dropped the ball, lost 2 bad games. I acknowledge it's our fault. Primarily, we're even in this is our fault. But when me and Pat were talking, the lack of upsets late in the year is kind of rare. And Notre Dame ran into a year where you needed a break or two, and you didn't get jack in November. That would have really helped. You didn't get it, man. So it is what it is. Don't lose 2 games.
I agree. Thanks, Johnny. Have a great day.
Hey, have a good afternoon, man. Thanks for teaching the youth of America. Liam's a good guy. That's good stuff. Well spoken. Well spoken. All right, here we go. We're back. Our buddy from Alabama's back from the tumbleweeds. Your Catholic power isn't helping you now, is it? What do you think Catholicism is? Magic? Here is my Catholic wand. Woo! The Catholic powers. I bless thee, committee of the playoff for Notre Dame with my Catholic powers. Woo! I got the thing of incense they have at Mass, that the weird thing they on the rope, and I'm doing that. Behold my Catholic powers, and I'm doing the incense thing, and the committee breathes it in, and then they see it Notre Dame's way. My Catholic powers. Woo! I don't know where the hell this Oklahoma guy came from, but I'm glad he's here. It's been very entertaining. I don't know where you came from, but I like it. Oh, that's funny. I needed that laugh because I've been kind of stressed out. K-Way for real, $2 hour. Did Navy not being ranked in the top 25 at 9-2 hurt us? Probably. But again, I'm going to say, if you allow yourself back into a position where you need Navy to do something for you to make the playoff, you messed up. When you're in a position where people are telling me, John, you got to be really rooting for Boise State to win their game this week to really prop up Notre Dame, bro. If Notre Dame's in a position to need Navy and Boise State to do something to make the playoff, you messed up. $10 Pilney. The NDPR machine messed up. Criminally negligent on Jay Love. He's our best back in almost a century. Well, then I guess it's a double strike. because they didn't promote that the right way. And then now they're radio silence, and you're letting the ACC dominate the narrative on social media and publicly. And you're sitting there saying nothing, just like us, because we're Notre Dame. Do you expect more from Notre Dame? I don't know. $10 holler, Mike. Indy fans need to stop referring to Miami's losses as bad. They lost a total of 9 points to the 27th and 30th ranked teams. Rudy fans acting like they lost. Those are not ranked teams then. Those are not ranked teams then. That's the point. 27th and 30th are not ranked teams. It only goes 25. What do you, everybody's a ranked team. I'm ranked 97th. So then by your logic, everybody's a ranked team. I'm going to blow a gasket this week. I just hope it's live. I can get some ratings on the way out. $10 holler, chew. Starting to think moving Alabama up protects Alabama and Notre Dame if BYU loses. Bama loses. They drop down to 10. Notre Dame goes to 9. And then you end up with that buffer between Notre Dame and Miami again in that way. That is a theory here. CFP gets both cash cows, and you don't need to compare Miami and Notre Dame. Yes, that is an argument that's out there. Absolutely. A $2 from the skate rat. If BYU and Alabama lose to Notre Dame, I don't know. Ask Miami. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Ask where Miami falls in that equation then. So I don't know. PKND, what's going on?
Hey, John, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, man. What's up? Welcome.
Thanks for taking my call. I've been spamming my brother's group chat and they stopped responding, so I figured I got to talk to somebody about this.
Well, what do you make of it, man? Like Notre Dame just finds itself in a really bizarre spot. What do you make of the dynamic, and how do you think it's going to turn out?
Can I take a removed perspective?
Sure, sure.
I think Miami, the team, screwed us, and then Miami, the fans, screwed us. The team first by losing to SMU right before the rankings, we would have been good. And then the fans by buying into like a narrow ESPN narrative that only one of Miami or Notre Dame can be in. They should have been arguing to jump us to 8 the whole time. But now we're both in this situation where we don't know what's going to happen because they just bought into this narrow SEC narrative and it screwed us. And then,
yeah, that's an interesting, man, a part of me, when you want to look at like fairness in this dynamic, I almost think Notre Dame and Miami should both make it, or Notre Dame and Miami should both be out. Do you know what I'm saying? Like to be able to resolve this issue of head-to-head versus overall and all that, who's playing better? Like, I almost think both should be in or neither should be in. It doesn't get any fairer than that. Solve it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I can see that for sure. I just feel like it's like, because I was trying to break it down and have these arguments against Miami today, and then I just thought like, why am I saying that Miami isn't a playoff team? Why is that important to me? They are a playoff team. They're good enough to beat anyone if Carson Beck doesn't throw a bunch of interceptions.
Yeah.
So that's what's hard for me to justify, is saying Miami's not a playoff team. Like, they put us against each other when we're both, like, if you look at our comparative, who did the SEC beat out of conference this year?
Yeah, it's
Clemson.
Yeah.
Ole Miss almost lost to Washington State. Georgia Tech in a rock fight with Georgia.
And then you have the other thing is that brings up the Texas argument of, look at Texas. They're complaining because they're getting penalized for scheduling Ohio State and losing that game. And they're going, oh, come on, you want us to play tough competition. We went out on a limb, and instead of playing a junior high team, we did Ohio State. Now we're out, right?
But I think college football, you win the game. You don't say, oh, like I heard Joel Klatt say, oh, they scheduled an unwinnable game. So Texas can't beat Ohio State, and then they lost to Florida. Therefore, they should be in the playoffs. It's unwinnable. So they're going to eventually get, like, my thing is, it's just the perspective of it. I think we got caught up in a narrative against Miami when it's like, in my opinion, you should honor the head-to-head. It should have been Miami 8, Notre Dame 9, Oklahoma 10, Alabama 11. Alabama wins the SEC. They push out the 5th SEC teams. You get 4 SEC teams in. SEC didn't beat anybody out of conference this year. Alabama lost to Florida State. Miami beat Florida. We crushed Arkansas. We lost by a point to A&M. That's my thoughts on it. The SEC, it's ESPN is the SEC machine, and we got railroaded. That's just my feeling on it.
Yeah, it's so what do you think is going to be the end result here? Do you think Notre Dame's going to squeeze in at 10, or are they setting up the flip with Miami? How do you think? I see a big split in what people think is going to actually happen.
I think what we want to happen is obviously Texas Tech. We want Bama to lose convincingly. We want Virginia to beat Duke. That's our best path. Because I do think that...
Yeah, because you could argue if Virginia beats Duke, then they could check that ACC box, right? And if it's 5-loss Duke, then you have an issue there with honor, like putting them in. So yeah, I get I get that buys them some at least an ACC team in the field to check that box if that's important to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If which I think it should be important to them. The thing that's so difficult about college football is that when you go too far in the perception, you can say the ACC is a crap conference and SEC is a great conference, but meanwhile the SEC's, since NIL is faltering, they don't have the same dominance that they've had in the past.
That is objectively true that they don't stockpile all of the top talent anymore. You're right.
And Miami looked great against us. Like, you know what I mean? They looked great against South Florida. They looked great against Pitt. They looked great against, you know what I'm trying to say? It's just that inconsistency.
Yeah.
I just wish they ranked Miami ahead of us to begin with, because then when Oklahoma beat Alabama, they'd have a decision to make.
But like, I could totally understand all of this if in those first rankings, they went up there and said, Miami beat them head-to-head and they had the same record. We value that. And that's why Miami's ahead of them. I would be so much more open to that argument than what they're doing now.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I agree. The committee, like, if you want to go on that, the committee's insane. Like the Auburn. Oh, why don't you just say that A&M lost and you valued that?
Yeah.
You know, like, why did you say like, oh, they beat Auburn and they looked like that? That I agree. And I just think Miami from the beginning, and the ACC, because we're affiliated with them, should have been like, both these teams are playoff teams. Like, Miami should jump all of them, right?
Yeah,
like,
it is, man. It is. It's just, again, I circle back to how wild it is that somehow, some way, old Notre Dame ends up in the middle of all the biggest controversy. It is just the most Notre Dame-iest thing I could imagine.
Definitely. And like, I think there's been a lot of anxiety in Notre Dame fans, and it's because we watch ESPN games, and they could be talking about like the resurgence of our team and how the great players, they could know our players' names, for example, but like instead they're like, oh, Notre Dame and Miami, and like Notre Dame, but it's like nobody ever thought to say like, well, what if Notre Dame and Miami are both better than Alabama and Oklahoma?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, is that crazy to suggest? Right. Yeah. Like, it's like, that's unheard of. So I don't know, man. This is going to be a very stressful week, and I don't know how it's going to break, but Notre Dame is in the danger zone, and it is a reminder. This is why you got to be able to control your own destiny and take it out of everybody else's hands.
I totally agree. And if you look at next year too, like I don't think we can take a loss next year. If you look at our schedule, if this is the way, we have a terrible schedule.
It is going to be a light schedule with an easy start, getting harder later in the year. I think you gotta have one loss at the most.
Yeah, and I'm just cheering for Texas Tech, Georgia, and Virginia, and then we'll go from there. I don't know what's going to happen. In answer to your original question, I don't know.
Yeah, nobody does, man. I am seeing a big division of people that think the flip is coming with Miami and this is setting up for it, and a whole bunch of other people that aren't worried about that. So it's very, very interesting. I'm a worrier by nature. And most of my life, if something bad could happen to Notre Dame, it has happened to Notre Dame. At 41 years old, I have seen it, whatever the worst case is, usually happens.
Well, look at A&M.
I'm going to be nervous, and then we're going to see. And if we don't make it, we'll all commiserate together, man. Hey, PKND, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Join again, man.
Thanks a lot, man. Have a great day.
Have a good one. Man, I love we're getting a good blend of new and old people in here. I want to get to more, you guys. I'm willing to sit here and do this. This is an important week, and I want you guys to be heard. Let's get Renee in and out, and he could go back to work.
Johnny, what's up, baby? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm gonna give it to all these patty cake ass, whatever, Miami SEC trash, Big Ten pretender trash fans. Okay, no, you know what? The Big Ten's not, because I love the Ohio pod. Kent, I got a lot of respect for it because we haven't been in 100 years. But I'm gonna give them the truth, homie. Because in the court of law, guess what? In my world, in the court of law, all it is facts, homie. You got facts, or it's all circumstantial. Okay, I'm gonna give you some facts. I came with some numbers. There you go. Big Ten pretenders. Ohio State, 1 junior high team. USC, 2 junior high teams. Indiana, 3 junior high teams. The number 2 ranked team in the country, 3 junior high teams. Okay. Purdue, 2. Rutgers, 1. Washington, 1. Wisconsin, 1. Ohio, 1. Penn State, 2. Illinois, 2. Northwestern, 2. Minnesota, 1. Nebraska, 1. Michigan State, 2. Maryland, 2. 24 junior high teams in this conference schedule. You got 18 teams. 18 teams. Play nine conference games, 2 out of season, two power out of conference games. Okay. The reason I tell you that, there's only 2 teams in this pretender ass conference, okay, that didn't schedule junior high teams. Guess who? Michigan, who kept us out of your conference because of your bigot ass commissioner. UCLA, that doesn't even have a coach, homie. Okay.
Renee, I'm just laughing. It's like, it looks like that's a 200-year-old sea scroll that you found, and you're doing all this math on.
So there's some math for you. There's some numbers.
If your boss walks by, be like, I'm drawing up the plans for the next job, man. Give me a break.
That's what I'm gonna tell him. I'm taking inventory.
Yeah.
But those are the numbers. There's 24 teams combined from 18 teams. That's enough teams for 2 of your teams, a whole effing schedule. Okay. Those are some numbers for you. Okay. The only 2 teams, UCLA, that doesn't have a coach, and Michigan. Okay, the only 2 teams that didn't schedule junior high teams out of that whole conference. Okay, but why is that number? Why is this trash ass? There's 2 reasons I really hate that school. 1, Albert Kinsey. Look up that piece of shit, and you'll see why I really dislike it. 2nd, because Signetti, what he tried to do last year, and whatever. But those are those facts for you right there, man. Okay, as far as Miami, I was thinking, damn, 9 points. That's true, man. We should be left out. Marcus Freeman said it best. We control our own destiny. Take care of what's in front of you. Let the rest take care of itself. As far as Liam, I love Liam to death, man, but I like what Marcus in that interview, man. Hey, man, he's a gentleman. He's class act. And if you ever remember listening to the Ghetto Boys, a gangster don't talk shit because a gangster knows he has nuts. Exactly. You know, he's a straight gangster, man. He's a gentleman. He's a class act. He's the face of Notre Dame football. So let me try to keep my train of thought. Okay. With that being said, I thought that too. Miami, damn, yeah, we deserve to be left out, because Miami only lost by 9 points. And remember, when I get into my numbers, that's why I don't like to, because I really get into it. Only 9 points, that's just a little bit more than a touchdown for 2 losses, okay? But, sorry, homie, I'm going to get gangster on you. You may be tough, doggy. You may be tough. You may think you're tough. You know what I mean? You're actually a fighter, homie. And you had your glory days. But guess what, homie? You slept with all these ugly bitches. But guess what? On your schedule, homie, you slept with one you wasn't supposed to. And the court of law says you're gonna get, you know what I'm saying? And now you're with the homies and you're gonna get fucked up. Hey, Miami, you have 1 junior high team on your schedule, homie, regardless of the head-to-head, that we don't. I was almost biting that narrative, John. I was almost biting that, but you have 1 junior high team. Guess what? You slept with the chick you wasn't supposed to, homie.
Do you think that's going to end up being the difference?
Yeah, it should be the difference. It should. I'm saying, bro, Bevel didn't take Canelo's title when he fought him in that weight class. He didn't take the rest of his titles in that fight. Why should he? You know what I'm saying? That should be the difference. That alone right there, homie, is the deciding factor between us and Miami. Should everything else play out, homie? Hey, that's the truth. Then that piece of shit Indiana team should not be rewarded as number 2 for 3 junior high teams. They're the top 5 ranked team with the most junior high teams on their schedule, John. No, you can't argue that. Sorry, dude. You can't. It's the truth. In the court of law, that's all that matters. You have
It's
one
just-
junior high team. You have 3 junior high teams,
What do
homie.
you do when you're an undefeated Big Ten team, though, man?
Hey, bro, we shouldn't schedule those guys. Sorry, I know everybody argues with me, bro, about scheduling tough in the season. But guess what? In masonry, John, the hardest course, you know what the hardest course is, John? In masonry, when we're laying, see, right now I'm kind of consolidating. But in masonry, the hardest course, when you go and you grind, is the first one, the first 2, because you got to lay it out. You got to find out what cuts go where, what rebar goes where, what jams here, what measurement is there. That's what the coaches have to do in week 1 and week 2, and that's the hardest one. So schedule them, and gradually as the wall goes up, you start to make things maneuver them the way you need to. If it cuts off, you kind of just define tooth and comb detail. That's what you do in masonry, homie. And if you're been defeated back team 10, sorry, homie, you should not be scheduling those junior high teams. Like I said, hey, homie, you might have hey, you got child support for boning those ugly bitches? Hey, homie, that's sorry, bro. That's your you know what I mean? You know?
I don't know, man.
I'm sorry, Johnny. I'm just coming because it's the fact, bro. It's really that simple. And as far as the conference thing, hey, sorry, that's what you get for playing in a conference. And sorry, that's what we get for not playing in a conference.
Yeah,
That's
so
simple.
Cuts both ways. Yeah, cuts both ways.
That's simple, John. They're making it harder than what it is. Simple, John. Shit, I gotta hide. It's coming. Hey, simple. That's simple. Sorry, man, that you play in a conference, but that's why you got 18 teams in that conference. You should be able to have 2 divisions, 1 title game, or 1 title game scheduled, 2 powerhouse teams. That's it, man. That ends the argument with us in Miami. You have a chick on your fucking roster, homie, that you should not had. So now your ass is punished for it, homie.
We're
Plain and simple. Oh, I got a roster. I got a roster of chicks. Homie. Hey, doggy, but you have one that you should not had, bro. So the court of law sent you with the homies, dog. Now you're about to get fucked up. Johnny, forgive me for my lack of my thing, because you know me, I'm on a different thing. But that's how it goes in the court of law, homie. And fact is fact. You may have beat us on the head-to-head, homie, but you got one chick on your roster that you shouldn't have. And that's
Renee.
Hey, I love you guys. I gotta go. I've been over here. I was doing the numbers, bro, for everybody. But those are the numbers for everybody. I love you, Johnny. Sorry that I used that but it's the truth, bro. I had to go that, like, you gotta really look at it like that. Hey, onward Notre Dame. Hey, if we get in, I think we're in either way, Johnny. Like I said, not a home game, but we're in. Love you guys.
After all that, he ends it with, I think we're in. Nothing to worry about. Oh, Randall, welcome. What's going on, buddy?
Nervous. Very nervous.
It is. Isn't it wild how somehow, some way Notre Dame finds its way into whatever the biggest drama is, and they're right in the middle of it. And here we are again. It's just, you couldn't write a script for reality TV better than this. Somehow, some way, old independent Notre Dame ends up in the middle of all this. So what do you make of it? What do you think of what the committee's doing? Are they setting up a flip? What do you think?
I think our way forward is very narrow. Very narrow. I think that really the only explanation for us being flipped with Alabama last night, to protect them and keep them in the playoffs, obviously, but in the eventuality that BYU loses, that puts us next to Miami back to back, and that will allow them to justify them flipping Notre Dame and Miami. I think that our narrow stretch in would be a sizable loss by Bama, and obviously a loss by BYU as well. But it seems very narrow in my mind, at least.
Do you agree with me? I mean, I don't know how long you've been. This show's been going on over 2 hours now. I don't know if you were here. My argument is, it isn't a problem with like the moves or what they might do, but the path and the philosophy to lead us there, I have a big issue with, as far as the process. If you wanted to tell me the head-to-head mattered with Miami, fine. But like, you don't do it Sunday. That should have already been a thing. That's my problem.
So I said this weekend, because I watched on Friday, Friday night, watched all the games. Friday during the day, watched all the games, obviously. Saturday at noon, all the way till our game finally at 10:30 at 10:45 at night, whenever kickoff was Eastern. That spending all those all day watching all those games, waiting for just one game to go our way, basically, and having absolutely none of them end up in any positive way for us.
You could argue it wasn't even just neutral because you didn't get any help. The one game they went the other way hurt us because it was A&M. So
exactly. That's the
it
only
wasn't
one.
even just neutral. The one that did it ended up burning. And I gotta
us
say,
look worse.
I think that's why, even after we won 10 in a row, people were in a really kind of ornery mood after that Stanford game because the anxiety kept building. Every one of those games you tuned into, oh, goody, this is the one that's going to help. Every 4-hour window you got rejected again, it made you more worked up. Then you got to wait till 2 a.m. for our game. It all built up to where everybody
I
was
watched
losing
your
their
show
mind.
right after the Stanford game, and because I the whole game at halftime, I felt great, and then after the game at Stanford, I think I felt kind of the same way that you did, where it was just this weird, it was just a weird feeling.
Yes.
I'd never really felt that way before after,
Yes.
and I've been watching my entire life. I'm 34, watching since the late 90s, every single game. I haven't missed a game in 20 plus years
Weird
at this
vibe,
point,
man.
and I've never felt that way. Never, ever, ever have I felt that way.
Yeah,
it was
dude, I am
indescribable.
I am right there with you. It had a very odd vibe, and a part of it had to do with the Jeremiah Love thing didn't go the way we wanted that to as well. But I am convinced the late start and the buildup of all those games, and we were excited for you, hoping for a little break. You got nothing. It all made for a rough dynamic. So what do you think, man? What's going to happen? Are they setting up the flip, or is there an angle where Notre Dame sneaks in this thing?
I think that they've been trying to find a way to justify comparing us versus Miami. And you said something a little bit earlier that I 100% agree with as well, is that either get us both in or get us both out. Cause this is so ridiculous on a national level. We have all been there where, with Brian Kelly and Charlie Weiss and all, and just pretty much all the coaches before Marcus Freeman, where the college football world hates us. And that's fine. That's great. Anti-Notre Dame, sentiment amongst the college football world is great. We finally get this kind of light at the end of the tunnel with Marcus Freeman, because he's just such a likable, charismatic guy that the college football world starts to like us a little bit. But the amount of anti-Notre Dame hate in the past really 4 weeks has been unbelievable. Yeah. I've never seen anything like it. And it's the college football committee or playoff committee kind of back themselves into a corner at this point, because I truly believe they felt like Miami was going to lose another game.
Yep.
Either Miami was going to lose another game, or one of these teams in front of us, like Oklahoma or Bama, that one of those teams was going to lose again.
Yeah.
And it was just going to take
it would work out itself.
It would work itself out, because these things usually work themselves out, but
not this year.
Not this year. I will say though, if Bama was going to pass us, I still don't know. I thought the reasoning for that was awful, first of all. Yeah. But there's a first half, a good first half against Auburn. Congrats. Way to go.
They went
for it
on 4th down, though, against that 5-win team with no coach.
Yep. Hey, they did a great job. That was really showing their dominance. But the crime for me is that Oklahoma is in front of both of us.
Yeah.
And that defense, by absolutely championship caliber. It's probably one of the top 1 or 2 defenses in the country.
But the
without a
offense
doubt.
reminds you of old Notre Dame's offenses.
It's worse. The
Yeah.
offense makes me want to vomit. Like
Yeah.
it is legitimately that bad.
Yeah.
And they don't even hide it. They have to have a big play to score a touchdown, like a big play or a missed. I think what the one play that they hit
blown
on
coverage,
last
blown
week
coverage.
was
Yeah.
there was no one there. Like it wasn't even a blown coverage. There just wasn't a dude there. Like he wasn't even there. But somehow they are ahead of both of us to where we can't be compared against each other. So that I really don't like that. And BYU being in that buffer zone, it just like it feels like a conspiracy theory to kind of feel like to kind of think this way because like Miami hasn't moved up from 12 at any point. So it's like if they wanted to move them up, I feel they've had their chances to do so.
Yep.
But are they really like you just have to think about it. Like, are they really going to flip us when neither one of us play?
It really doesn't make sense. If you were going to do it, you should have done it to begin with, or it should have been this week since none of them have games left.
Exactly my point. It's like how in the world are they going to explain that to us, to the college football world in general? Because we know that if this happens, this is going to set a precedent for the future. And it's just like they're just telling us they can do whatever they want when they want. And the justification is not like it may not make sense, but that it is what it is, I guess, at this point. I just don't I do not understand it.
Yeah, it's super frustrating. Again, I some of the moves you could put together a philosophical argument I could understand. They're not doing that. So they have backed themselves into a corner on the path they've chosen to travel where they're going to look bad kind of no matter what they do in a way because of how they have chosen to navigate all this. Anything else, my friend? I believe you're a first timer. Really good first call. Really appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. I was surprised I got in so quick. Definitely first time caller. I've watched for a long time.
Well, now let me
frequent
ask
a lot of these shows.
I see your shirt. Can we go chase some twisters and record it for content or what? Storm chase it. Let's go chase some twisters and record it for content, baby.
Are you kidding? I mean, that's absolutely what I love to do. That's the only hobby that I have other than Notre Dame, Red Sox.
Bro, I'm dead ass serious. Could you imagine the YouTube content in the off season of spring and summer and it's me getting chased by a tornado or the other way around? Imagine the entertainment value.
I'm not joking at all. I do that as my hobby.
Well, what state are you in? Where are you at?
I'm in Virginia, but I've gone around I've gone around to every state short of I've been as far west as South Dakota and West Texas, and I've chased all the states in between,
Bro,
here and there.
Is it a hobby or a job or both?
No, it's a hobby. I mean, it's a hobby. I have a full-time job, but I work remote, so I'm able to kind of do whatever I want.
Bro, you got to let me know when you get through the Midwest. I'll hook up with you. We'll set it up, record some content, chase some storms. I love tornadoes. I would love to do it, man. I'm dead serious. Shoot me an email with your info.
I will. I literally spent all last year out in the Midwest in Iowa, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, literally the entire, Midwest and Tornado Alley as well, chasing storms. So
the schedule for me lightens up in the off season. It'd give me some good content. Let's chase. Send me your information.
Okay, I will.
Have a good one, man. Thanks for joining. Johnny the Storm Chaser. Imagine that. Jay Anderson, what's going on? Good morning. I'm trying. There's a bunch of you guys that want to hop in. I'm trying to move through these. What's going on?
Hey, John, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good deal. Hey, I wanted to take a second and just say that this format is awesome. I mean, I've called in a couple times. This is my first time actually showing my face, I think. but this is super cool, and I really enjoy it. Like, you wouldn't know that dude's a storm chaser, and then there you go. You get your off-season content set up because he's got a storm chaser shirt on.
Yeah, it's a different dynamic when you allow the video, because like it just adds more depth to it because you see the people's situation. It's kind of an interesting social experiment.
Right. Yeah, I'm sitting here in the middle of South Bend, foot of snow on the ground still from last weekend, and I can do nothing over the last couple weeks other than completely consume myself in all this college football playoff craziness. And I'm to the point now where I'm ready to just jump off my roof because everybody's got their own opinion. Everybody's got their own metrics and math and statistics that they try to fit in. And it makes my head want to explode. And I absolutely can't stand being in this position as a Notre Dame fan. But what more could we ask for? We lost the first 2 games, and it's like you say, it's the most Notre Dame-y thing ever. So of course it's going to come down to these last 2 teams. But aside from all the college football playoff talk, maybe the college football playoff committee runs Jeremiah Love's Instagram account. Nobody's talked about that whole situation from a couple days ago. Him posting on Instagram, "Oh, it's been a blessing, Notre Dame. Thanks for everything." It's like, well, what the hell, man? We still got a playoff shot. You're not supposed to be posting that till January 20th.
Yeah, that could mean something. It could mean nothing. I don't know, but it's like I got to worry about all these things at once. You got to worry about this week.
Right. Just add that to the table. Now it's a question, is he going to be locked in if we're in the playoff? Is he all in, or is he half hurt, or what's going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all of that's what other drama could Notre Dame possibly get? I'm sure there's some other stuff, but all that takes away from the fact that we signed all 27 recruits this morning. That was awesome. We're top 4 at least. So the future looks bright, but of course we have to deal with all this playoff madness like you were talking about.
So what do you think, man? Does your gut tell you they're setting up the flip, or do you think that Notre Dame could be safe? I am seeing a division, man. When I look it up on social media, a lot of people think Notre Dame's still going to be ahead of Miami, and a lot of people are convinced this is to set up the flip. Which side are you on?
I personally think that the committee wants Notre Dame in. I don't think that they would make it this far and then flip. I think if, like a lot of people were saying, if they were to flip Miami and Notre Dame, they would have done it yesterday. They would have done it last night because that's their only team. There's no other data point that any team, we're not touching the football this week. No other team can gain a data point. So, and I don't think that the flip of Notre Dame Alabama was to set up the flip of Miami Notre Dame. I think, like everybody was saying, or most people are saying, I think that was to protect Alabama if they lose the SEC championship game, which could benefit us in a way, because I think if Bama loses, gets their 3rd loss, could drop them to the 10 seed and then maybe move us up to the 9 seed if BYU keeps it. If they lose to Texas Tech. Texas Tech has to beat BYU. I don't think it matters if they get blown out or not.
Yeah.
I just don't think Miami's going to make it.
The funniest thing that could happen is BYU upsetting Texas Tech, and Notre Dame and Miami are both out, and we all did this for nothing.
Bingo. Exactly. Right. Then that
we all did this. I cut years off my hairline in life, and both of us don't get in.
Yeah. I wanted to call in earlier and just maybe we could sit here and just breathe for a few minutes because your head was going to explode.
Dude, it's so frustrating because all you had to do is just play a little bit better football early in the year, and you're not in this position. You have a home game, and you just wait to see who it is, and you just couldn't do it. You just couldn't do it, and here we are.
Right. Again, it'd be too easy for Notre Dame to just be sitting here super calm and not have to worry about anything in December. But no, of course, we got to sweat it out because we dropped the first 2 games, right? I mean, we kind of were setting up for this whole thing in September after we dropped that A&M game when we knew everything was going to be great towards the end of the year. So that's all I wanted to come on and say, John. I didn't have a whole bunch. I just wanted to at least call in and say that this is all madness, and we're going to see what happens on Sunday. So,
man, I appreciate you joining. Always good to have some local flavor there in the snow. Give me a call again, man. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it, John. Go on.
Have a good one, man. You guys are good. I'm glad people like this. Ethan, welcome. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, definitely.
Yo, I wanted to come on here. So big Notre Dame fan. And I hear a lot of fans saying, oh, wouldn't mind Miami getting in, wouldn't mind Bama getting in, wouldn't mind Vanderbilt getting in. And I have to say, I have a problem with that. They're saying, oh, head to head, Notre Dame's not better than Miami. Well, RPI is the rating percentage index. And, let me pull up some stats. Let me read some stats for you. Can I do that here? So, yeah, we go on Sagarin's website where he does RPI rankings, and he has Ohio State #1 in RPI. Guess what team's #2 in RPI? Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Okay,
their
perfect.
right? Isn't Notre Dame #3 in the FPI? I believe it was Ohio State, Indiana, and #3 Notre Dame in the FPI. And I know people like to lean on that as well.
There you go. TeamRankings.com, another predictive ranking. Notre Dame 3rd. And then real-time RPI, another RPI ranking, they have us 10th. So all these websites have us very high in RPI. Miami, nowhere to be seen. Vanderbilt, nowhere to be seen. Alabama, nowhere to be seen. And then I'm being told about head-to-head, Notre Dame shouldn't be in. When you want to talk about statistics, look at the statistics. We're ahead of everyone. We're #2 to Ohio State in statistics. Then you talk about head-to-head. Okay, last year, let's talk about head-to-head then. Ohio State won the Natty last year. They were completely untouchable. They destroyed everyone, right? We all know this. Okay, who did they lose to last year? They lost to 7-5 Michigan. So talking about head to head, is 7-5 Michigan better than Ohio State last year? We all know that's not true. Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. Is Northern Illinois better than Notre Dame? Did they deserve to go to the playoffs because of one game early in the season? No fucking way, right? So that's
So,
why I think
okay,
head to head.
let me play the other side of it, man. Like you
Yeah.
cite those. I have an obligation to do this. Let's play the other side of it. So you're giving me these rankings overall and where Notre Dame stacks up. Vegas also likes Notre Dame's odds in these early round matchups. Like Notre Dame would be favored even at Oklahoma, whatever. And then I just ask, like, you're giving all those stats. Well, what about the one of we played Miami and lost? How much do you weigh that compared to the overall stats you're referencing? Like, how much do you weigh it? I don't know the answer. I'm just asking.
I mean, look, if I had it my way, I think teams like Miami deserve to make the playoffs too, right? Like they're good, they're great teams. Like that's the problem with the playoffs. Teams like Vanderbilt, Miami, Texas, they all deserve to eat, right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel bad for my friends, people I know that go to these schools or fans of these teams. I'm like, you guys have a good team. I like what you're doing over there. Would love to see you guys in too. But, in this kind of environment, it sucks that only 12 teams can get in, right? And just the way I look at it, the things I weigh, Notre Dame lost 2 very close games in the beginning of the season. You saw what we did in the postseason last year with Marcus Freeman. We've been on a 10-game win streak. We have should be Heisman winner Jeremiah Love on our team. I mean, I think there's a very strong case for Notre Dame. And, you guys were talking about the media, Notre Dame's media is not too strong. And, I'd like to see Notre Dame fans more so push for some positivity and, really fight for us because I think we have a great team here. And if we're not fighting for us, who will, right?
Yeah, it's a good point. The old argument, if you're not your biggest advocate, who else will be? And maybe you could argue they should have done more with Love's Heisman push or lack thereof. And then now with this, and then I don't know how much it matters or not. It feels like the committee is getting swayed by public opinion and outcry, but I don't know that for sure,
Mm. Yeah. Well, talking about that, so right now I'm a student at an ACC school, and I was in the gym, and what they had playing on the TV was the Miami Notre Dame game all day, and I was sitting there like, wow, that's very biased because as you guys said, Notre Dame is partnered with the ACC in many respects, and we can go into the legal aspects if they should even be promoting
Yeah.
Miami over Notre Dame at all, and it gets me into the idea that, like you guys were mentioning, in this new era of the prominence of media, it's important for Notre Dame to get an online presence, right? And part of the reason why Miami is getting that kind of push is because I hate to say it, but it's because they're in the ACC. And we can't help but notice Notre Dame isn't in a conference. And if you want that online support, sometimes joining something like the SEC or Big Ten for Notre Dame might help them get more fans and more people
Good
fighting for
point.
them.
That is a fair point that then you would get you would get the overall group you're in support as well, because they all want to prop up the whole conference. It is funny how during the year they're all against each other, and then once it gets to bowl time, they're all for the flag of the SEC or the Big Ten or whatever. Yeah, it is wild. Okay, so playing this out the rest of the week, do you have a feeling Notre Dame gets flipped with Miami, or do you think we hold on to this thing, assuming BYU loses? If they win, then we're both screwed. But what do you think's going to happen here?
So that's great. So I think that Notre Dame, I think we will be in. But the way I say that we won't be in is, as you said, if Texas Tech loses to BYU, Notre Dame's screwed and they won't get in. But the other way I think we might not get in is, let's say Duke beats Virginia. And people have mentioned this, if Duke beats Virginia, there's no way that would be 8-5 Duke. They're not going to get into the playoffs 8-5. JMU's better. North Texas is better. A lot of teams are better. So they're not putting in Duke. And the ACC would go crazy, as they already are, if there was no ACC team. They don't really claim Notre Dame as an ACC team. They just don't.
I'm glad you're bringing this up, because a few people asked for clarification on why the Virginia Duke thing mattered. Multiple people asked that. Thank you for bringing it up. The part of it is, if they want ACC representation, it's tough to put in a 5-loss team, even if it wins the ACC in. And at least Virginia would have a better looking resume and record. You could check the box of having ACC included and feel less pressure for Miami as an at-large bid to check that box. Am I right?
Exactly.
That's how I interpret the theory. Is that right?
I completely agree. That is the theory, that if Duke wins, the College Football Playoff Committee will have a pressure to still have the ACC have at least one team. And they'll say, we can't put in Duke. We'd rather snub Notre Dame and put Miami in than put Duke in.
That does make sense. Anything else, my friend? Thanks for joining. We got another first timer here, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it was great. Not really much. Great time calling. I see Heartline from Ohio State's gone. Hopefully Notre Dame can win the Natty this year then. So, yeah.
It's going to be interesting. That's a good opportunity for him to start his head coaching journey. I saw people asking why he wasn't in the mix for Penn State. I saw that. And so really, really interesting. He's going to get a chance to break away from the Ohio State nest there and go on his own. And then we'll see what else happens, man. Hey, thanks a lot, buddy. I really appreciate it. Call again.
Yeah, thanks, man. Good to see you.
Have a good one, Ethan. Take care. I'm telling you what, a guy like me can't pull off that jacket, bro. Can you imagine me trying to pull off that fit? I'm too old. I could never pull off that fit, man. That's rough. That's rough. Mark, what's going on? I'm going to keep running through these. Welcome, buddy. This is a lot to digest, Mark. This has been a lot. 2.5 hours, and my brain is busted, dog.
I'm falling apart over here. I had my furnace service yesterday. I just had the plumber out. But I got my nerd glasses on, and I got my protractor.
Are you going to do some math? Because
I was going to, but I figured I'd just come on here and talk about feelings instead. But in regards to signing day and the playoffs, there's one program is kind of the standard right now in college football. And I think if you really think about it, you can see Freeman is modeling Notre Dame after said team. And I think Freeman is the most motivated coach in the country. He's 0-3 in championship games, lost twice as a player, once as a coach. I think his familiarity with Ohio State and that whole deal. So I'm going to do a spin zone for you.
Okay.
I think it's somewhat surprising, and for some perspective, let's see if I can get a good shot of this. So in the last 30 years, the Ohio State Notre Dame comparison, here we have Kent Jackson and you. Okay. The last 30 games. The last 30 games, Ohio State's record is 26-4.
Mm-hmm.
Against ranked teams, they are 9-3. Sorry about that glare. Notre Dame in the last 30 games. 26-4 against ranked teams. 10-3.
Yeah. Wow.
Somewhat surprising. That's a spin zone, but I do think there's something to be said about that. I think this class is somewhat historic, maybe super historic when it's all said and done. I did see Kyle Kelly tweet this morning. We're the only school that had 0 decommits.
Yeah, you're really doing something right with your process and the people that you're engaging with to pull that off. Like,
Yeah,
that is a lot of trust and belief both ways with the players, their families, towards Notre Dame, and with Notre Dame staff towards them. Really impressive, genuinely impressive to do that.
Yeah, and I know Mike Martin is the higher up, but this Carter Allman just seems to be a magician. If you kind of follow like what the players are saying and a lot of the pictures and stuff, this guy really seems to be like a big deal with their recruiting. I'm not going to talk about everything that goes without saying. You know, I did those doomsday scenarios previously, but I think it's obvious the committee wants Notre Dame in. I'm seeing some people kind of say the opposite, but I think if you look at how they've handled this, I think it's clear they want Notre Dame in. If you go on the playoff predictor, you know, the only reason obviously Notre Dame's at 58% is because of the championship games. And I've been doing blind. I got some blind resumes I'm still working on, and I've got some brackets I've been working on. This is my final bracket of what it's going to look like.
This is for Friday's show, the next part of the research.
So that's my prediction. You can book it. We're going to go to Norman, Oklahoma. I've got the conference champions in there.
Okay, so Mark, you believe that we will survive the flip scare, and that if BYU loses, that we will survive and barely make it.
Yeah, they're doing that for strategy, and I think Bama goes down to 10. BYU's out. Miami's always been shit out of luck. But yeah, that's where I'm at. But one thing too is, like, I know, like, it's kind of getting twisted that we need to rely on this team to lose, this team to win. And I think we need to not get it twisted that, like, just because we need help and cooperation from these other teams, like back-to-back playoffs is like really remarkable.
Big
and I
deal.
think it's the standard. I think I can come up with a bunch of other numbers that say we're, you know, top 3, top 5 program in all different ways. But I do think there's a lot to be said about that. And that's all I got. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to Wu-Tang.
Mark, I love you, buddy. Come up with something good for Friday when this thing really heats up. And then
all right. And tell Goolsby stats count.
Stats count. Thanks for the aids, man. Appreciate it. Oh, I love that guy. Oh, I love Mark so much. I just do. Rambling Ryan, welcome. Good morning, buddy.
Hey, John. Good to talk to you again. I want to make this short because apparently a lot of people are calling today. That's great.
Woo, buddy. Business is popping. It is. There's a lot to discuss in Notre Dame land. First of all, I'm going to mention it again 3 hours later. I'm so proud of this recruiting class, and it should be getting more shine, but it's not because of all the drama we're in about this playoff. I'm really frustrated with that part of this, man. This class would be getting hyped up so much. Finally, Freeman's getting to where we wanted him to recruit at, and it's just not the story of the day. It sucks.
Yeah. But I'm not as worried about that as I am with all the playoff talk. And I think this is absolutely like I'm beyond mind blown. I think honestly the question should be whether we get a buy or not, and I'll tell you why. If this is about money, if this is an entertainment product, we are a top 4 team
Yes.
in the playoff. If this is a product about the top 4 teams, or about the top teams 1 through 12, we would get a buy, and that goes by all the polls, or not every poll, but a majority. We're ahead of Miami in all the polls. We are a top 4 team in a lot of polls, both, especially the computer polls. We look good on computer. But to top it all off, what is the ultimate, nanu who's going to win in college football and every other sport? What is the most accurate decider of who's going to win a game ahead of time? It's Vegas, who has us at number 3. And we're supposed to think that maybe we shouldn't even get in as a top 12 team?
See,
what are you talking about?
That's where I don't. People are trying to make me feel better about this by saying you look at Vegas and Notre Dame's favored in those early round matchups, even going to Oklahoma, Notre Dame would be favored. And the odds to get in the playoff, Notre Dame is like favored. But I don't, they're number 3 in the FPI stat behind Ohio State, Indiana, then it's Notre Dame.
It's insane. It's not. This is about a public relations campaign being run against us by people who have a beef, whether it's because we're independent, whether it's because of just delusional, whatever, whether it's because we get all the money that we earn in a playoff instead of having to divide it among the conference, but none of those people who are upset about us getting all the money when we get in would be upset or want to donate some of their school's funds to us if we don't get in. So who cares what they think? Yeah. But if it doesn't matter. If this is about the most money or the best teams, we're in. It's not even a conversation. Not even a conversation.
It's a good point you do put forward where it's like, how did Notre Dame gets all that money if they get in or whatever. But no one talks about the fact that if you don't make it, you get no money. So like if you earn
Northwestern right. will get playoff money every year, no matter what.
Yeah, Rutgers. Yeah, like it's a little, that is funny. But a lot of people are saying Vegas knows. And a lot of people send me that data from Vegas that Notre Dame's odds of making the playoff are way higher, better than Miami or whatever. I don't know if I believe it or not, but a lot of people tell me, John, Vegas is ahead of everything. And if they're telling you they like my Notre Dame for that last spot, you should relax. I'm not going to relax the rest of this week. You shitting me?
Well, I'm not relaxed because, quite frankly, it happens, and maybe it's not all the time, but it does happen. Yeah. And so I'm not relaxed about it. It's not that I trust the people making the decision to make the right one. I just know full on well that the right decision, no matter their motive, is us to be in without any question. And so, I'm not gonna, fall over dead if we don't get in. But I'm gonna think that the college football committee is not who should be in the college football committee.
It's just, and I don't know, man, it seems like whatever they come up with, there's going to be a flaw somewhere that could be exposed or whatever, but it's just the path they've gone to lead us to this point is bizarre. That's my issue with it. It's an illogical, philosophically inconsistent thought process that has led the committee to the point where they may end up looking stupid no matter what they do because they have twisted themselves and meandered down this path. They didn't help themselves by the way they've set some of this up. And I don't know if they're self-aware enough to understand that.
I agree. Absolutely. You can walk yourself into a position, and we see it on, in politics and everything else. You can walk yourself into a position where you can't win because you walked into, made bad choices. And I agree.
Hey, I got to ask you, Rambling Ryan, where are you? The weather looks a lot nicer than what I'm dealing with here in Illinois.
Well, buddy, it's pretty nice. I'm a few miles down from the Rose Bowl right now.
Oh man, that
It's
is blue skies.
it's t-shirt weather. I'm getting there. It's early still, but
Oh man,
yeah.
that's beautiful. Well, good for you. I got about 14 inches of snow outside in the yard, so good for you.
I haven't seen snow, John, in a long time, but
Wow.
maybe I'll see it at Notre Dame here in the next year or two, hopefully.
That would be awesome. Hey, Ryan, I know you've been on a while. Thanks for waiting, buddy. I appreciate you today.
Have a great day, John. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Oh, what a nice guy. I know that weather, it didn't look very Illinois-ish. That's for damn sure. Did not look it. RC Cola, what's going on?
Hey, John, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, just wanted to say I'm a first-time caller. Love the show. I'm actually a truck driver, so I'm always putting up your Spotify every time you release one.
I appreciate that, bro. Dude, the Spotify crew is a different crew, man. It's a lot of people on the move all day for work, into like truckers, people on the move that can't be on YouTube all day. Like, I love my Spotify people. That is a different cut of people.
Oh yeah, I got to put your show up. I mean, I love it. Been a Notre Dame fan for a long time, but the reason for calling is I don't want to beat a dead horse here with this whole Miami Notre Dame conversation, but I kind of want to put my 2 cents in, especially with the possibility of this Duke winning the ACC championship game, because the committee is probably going to put, if I had to guess, they'll probably put Miami in over Notre Dame if Duke wins, simply because they don't want to leave an ACC team out.
Yeah, and I am glad that came up. And people, by the way, there are more chats I need to get to, you guys. I will. I want to try and get through as many of your guys' opinions as I can and prioritize that. But that is why multiple people ask, I don't understand what the big deal is about Virginia and Duke. If they want ACC representation, Virginia would be a way to do that. And then you wouldn't feel as guilty if you leave Miami out. That's the theory, right?
Right. But like, in case that happens, every talking head, every Miami fan, every Notre Dame hater, they want to say, oh, well, why play the games if they don't matter? Miami won the head-to-head, so there should be no discussion. And I'm like, I'm with you. We lost 2 games. If we get left out, it's our own fault. I'm also with, if Miami gets left out, it's their own fault. And here's why. Because I think the committee took way more consideration in the past in that head-to-head matchup, because, well, they played week 1. Those are always wacky. And that's because as a program, you never really know what you have until you start playing the games. That's why majority of schools line up and play cupcakes week 1. Like, obviously, I'm going to use the Florida State Bama situation.
Dude, you're so right. You are.
Yes.
I say it all the time. Teams think they have an idea of what they have in August, but you don't really know till it matters against someone else and you're out of your own little ecosystem. No one knows. You may think you know, but you don't know till it matters for real against somebody else.
Right. And Bama got embarrassed against Florida State. Is that because Florida State's a better team than Bama? Of course not. They had new personnel, and they had, pieces of their own puzzle that didn't fit best for them yet. So kind of like using that logic. Here we are week 1 in Miami, probably the biggest game Miami's had at Hard Rock in like the last 10, 15, 20 years.
You mean since Notre Dame went there in 17 and the whole thing happened again?
Right. And yeah, it came down to the wire. And John,
and the place was actually full. There were actually fans there, both.
Right.
Imagine that.
Right. And this came down to the wire. Miami didn't blow us out. They didn't dominate us. John, this was a tie ball game with under 60 seconds left, and Miami hits a field goal to win. Me personally, that game came down to one play, and that was that lucky pass tip drill, that interception that they got. It just that's how games go when they're that close.
Well, and the one that we didn't intercept in the end zone, that was a touchdown that was coming right to our guy, and instead of moving forward, he stood there, and now the Miami guy jacked it.
Oh, John, I was yelling at the TV for that one. Oh my God. But anyways, that's how these games go.
Oh, it hurt.
They can go either way.
Hurt.
But the most important note is Miami was rewarded for that win. They shot up in the rankings, and next thing you know, they're ranked number 2 in the country in, I think, week 3 or 4. They had the easiest path to the playoff in the country by a mile. I mean, no disrespect to the ACC, but 7-5 Duke is in the championship game. That should kind of put in perspective how down bad the ACC is. All they had to do was win out in a bad conference with an easy schedule.
Yeah.
That's just how bad the ACC is. Florida ended up being trash. Florida State's a dumpster fire. Obviously, their best other wins like USF. John, they didn't really have a hard game until Pitt again. Like that's really, and they lost 2 times in 3 weeks, mid-season form to bad football teams. They didn't lose to a Jimbo Fisher, Florida State. They didn't lose to a Trevor Lawrence, Clemson. They lost to Louisville and SMU. And people want to argue it's like, well, is SMU a bad team? Well, yeah, they lost to Wake Forest, TCU, Baylor, and now they couldn't even beat Cal. Louisville couldn't even beat Cal. So, yeah, those are bad losses. When you look at us on Notre Dame situation, we should have won those 2 games. But for Notre Dame's losses, we were a combined 2 plays away from starting the season beating 2 ranked teams in the first 2 weeks. I mean, both of these games could have gone either way. They were competitive. It's just not the way that Miami was. And it's funny because everyone likes to say that, ND never plays anyone, not in a conference, will always make the playoff because their path is easy. John, name me an easier path to the playoff than being ranked number 2 in the country early in the season and having the schedule that Miami had the rest of the way.
Yeah,
like if there was a football god who handed like college football playoff path on a silver platter to Miami, that's exactly what it would look like.
The problem I've had with the pro Miami argumentation online is I start every discussion of this with, if we don't make it, it is number 1 our fault for not taking care of business the first 2 weeks before we blame anybody else or the committee or the ACC or whatever. It's our fault. I never hear the pro Miami argument people say, if we don't make it, it's our fault for screwing up in the middle part of the year in a dog dump conference.
Exactly.
There's no accountability on their end for those 2 losses at all.
Exactly. If you are as good as people say you are, you should have never lost those 2 games in the first place. And nobody wants to talk about that. But when it comes full circle, the Miami Notre Dame game did matter. Like, for example, replace that Notre Dame win. I don't know. They barely left they didn't even leave the state of Florida till week 8. That's how easy it was. But just staying consistent. Let's say they opened up with a cupcake instead in UCF, and they beat UCF instead of Notre Dame. Tell me they're not where Virginia is right now in that situation, not even in the discussion, because it would be similar. So that Notre Dame win is the only thing keeping Miami in the discussion in the first place with those 2 losses. And everybody's a hypocrite. Like, perfect example, like Joe Klatt. He released a video saying if Notre Dame and Miami are close at the end of the year, you have to put Miami in over Notre Dame, and there's no discussion. Yet less than 2 weeks later, he says, and I quote, "If you actually pay attention to the film and watch the games, it's clear that Notre Dame is the better football team," as he ranks Notre Dame over Miami. And then, like, I don't know about you, but I listen to Josh Pate quite a bit. I have in the football world, I generally respect him. But he's gone off on a rant about these 2 a couple of times, but he doesn't really acknowledge those 2 losses. So it's like Notre Dame doesn't have 2 horrible losses to teams that they shouldn't have lost to.
Everything you're talking about comes down to like individual preferences of weighting value. What do you value more? The big games you won, or who you lost to, or what the competition was? Like, all of this is an experiment in personal taste and what you value. It's wild. There's no consistent criterion here for the committee or any of us. Everybody just has what makes sense to them, and then they rationalize it. It's just a frustrating way to figure this crap out.
Right. They have an answer in their mind, and then they try to come up. Then they try to dig into things that fit their own.
You know what you want the answer to be, and then everybody back creates an equation to get there, right?
Exactly. So it's like you can't, like, if you're Miami, you cannot literally have everything set up the way you had it. Like I said, they had the playoff basically on a silver platter, and they screwed the pooch twice in 2 weeks in midseason form. 2 bad football teams. Like, people want to say they were good. No, they weren't very good football teams. Like, they lost to all other bad teams, and then they want to go to the common opponents and say that Miami beat them by more. They were tied. Miami was tied 7-7 in the third quarter to Stanford. Notre Dame was up by 40 plus points at that point. Miami was up 2 touchdowns to half at Syracuse. Notre Dame was up 49-0. Miami was up 10-7 against Pitt. Notre Dame was up 21-3 at the same time frame. So the only difference with common opponents is just garbage times touchdowns. So you can't use that as an argument either.
It's so tedious, and I hate having to dig into all this little nuance, man. It would just be so much better if Notre Dame took care of their own damn business, so you weren't beholden to all this minutia. It's driving me insane. RC Cola, anything else, my friend? Thanks for joining.
Yeah, I mean, I generally think right now with the rankings, I think Miami is a good team, and we're at 10-12. I think I think the committee has it right with those two as of right now. That's my own opinion. I was hoping for help from Alabama, but obviously, Auburn couldn't even catch a pass, and that was still a close game. So that was kind of weird for me to say. But yeah, it's just the first time caller. I wanted to put out that point about the Miami Notre Dame situation. It's like you got to take accountability on both sides.
I appreciate it. You're absolutely right. I appreciate it. A lot of first-time callers today, and you got a nickname, so it's going to be RC Cola every time I get you, man. Call again.
I'll try to whenever I can. I'm on night shift, so it's kind of hard, but sometimes I can get up early enough.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for joining. Man, I'm telling you, I love all these new people, man. Yeah, you're darn right. I typed that in with the straight face. You kidding me? Oh man. All right. Let's man. We gotta push this to 12 here and go 3 hours strong. Luis, what's up, baby?
What's up, man? John, real quick. I'll make this fast. I gotta get going. The way I see it is like these are the consequences of us not taking care of our own business. I'm not with all that whole mumbo jumbo and whining and crying and all the shenanigans that's going. Like, we put ourselves in a situation, so why are we crying about it now? We didn't take care of business. Same situation that I'm in, boss. I'm in a situation that I might get locked up again. And if I do, it's nobody to blame because I put myself in that situation. So hold yourself accountable. And Coach Freeman ain't complaining. Coach Freeman has...
Wait, you can't be doing that. We got football games to go to together, bro. I can't be having you. What are you, Akon? They got me locked up. They won't let me out. Come on.
It's not that, John. It's just that, we got to hold ourselves accountable. Like, do I have a possibility? Without a doubt. So does Notre Dame. Notre Dame still has a possibility to make all this stuff. But there's nobody to blame but ourselves. We put ourselves in a situation, and now let's not ask for a handout and a begging, because of our name recognition and our brand. No, that shows you a lesson on what you need to do ahead of time. So therefore, you don't put yourself in a situation. So therefore, you handle your business when you should be handling your business. And number thing too is we're on a 10-game winning streak. You should be happy with the response that we have done. We have shown the body of work. We have blown out teams. Now, if that ain't good enough, it is what it is. It's that simple. You know what? The one thing that you should be proud of is the way we're finishing and the way we're looking. And not only that, though, the recruiting class that's coming in. This is a moment to feel good about Notre Dame, where it's going to be and where it's going to go. You know what I mean? This ain't the end all be all. This is just a learning lesson that's going to go into Freeman. Therefore, you never take things lightly and never underestimate certain situations. Like you said, don't leave it to nobody but yourselves. That's how I feel about this. Now, don't trust me. I'm brokenhearted. I'm hella brokenhearted if we don't get in. But at the same time, I'm not going to cry about it. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and whine about it because we didn't do what we had to do. It's gonna hurt. But at the same time, it's going to be a lesson learned for me and for all of us. You know what I mean? Other than that, onward to Notre Dame, man. We have a lot to worry about, a lot to be cheering for, and a lot of things to be excited. But I got to get going, John. I got a lot of things to get going. I've been on hold for a long time, but love you. Love the show.
Take care, buddy. And man, I need you free, bro. I need you out of trouble. I got to have you free. I don't want to be accepting no collect calls on this damn phone line, bro.
The way I see it, you ain't going to get no collect calls. I pay them from inside. All you have to do is accept the call, man. We still have a show going on. Ain't nobody going to stop me from talking my shit.
Dude, I do not want this for you. Now this is going to add to my list of worries, man. Hey, have a good one, Luis. Love you, buddy.
You too. Bye-bye.
See ya. Dude, now my guy's getting locked up. What the hell else can go wrong this week? Son of a buck. I can't have my guy locked up. Akon, stop. I'm getting locked up. They won't let my man out. What the hell? Son of a buck. It's getting rough in here. Hola Mix. ND fans and trying to find any way to not look at head-to-head as comedy. Here's where I'm going to push back against you. The committee is the ones that have set the precedent about the head-to-head. I've been saying it's Notre Dame's fault for losing 2 games or whatever. But the committee is the ones that are messing up the head-to-head thing. If they just honored it to begin with, we wouldn't be in this position. If they just did it last night, saying it's over, neither one of them play a game, we're honoring head-to-head, I could live with that. But you don't flip it on Sunday. That's my beef. That's my beef. Ryan, what's going on? Welcome, buddy.
How's it going, John? How are you, man?
Oh, you know, you've been sitting here watching. You know how I'm doing. I'm worked up.
Oh man, see, you know, when the rankings dropped, right, as I saw Notre Dame slide across the screen at 10, I was kind of more, you know, I was like annoyed because I'm like, you know what, it is what it is. I was like, but we're still going to be in as long as BYU doesn't, you know, win the Big 12 championship. And at that point, if that happens, then it is what it is. That's the price you pay of not playing in a conference, right? I would be completely fine with that. Completely understand it, right? My problem is that later on they're asking them, you know, can idle teams jump other idle teams? Can there be movement? He didn't want to answer it, right? He wanted to kind of dance around the question, which didn't make me feel great. And then there was another quote that came out when, you know, they do the off TV interview and he does it with the press, where there was a quote that came out where he said that, yes, teams that are idle can jump other idle teams, which is something in the last year was said that could not happen. That was something they said last year, set in stone, can't happen.
Yeah.
To me, that seems like a way of trying to trapdoor Notre Dame and put Miami in there, and I'll be honest with you, John, and I've talked about this on Twitter, online. If this happens Sunday, we go into Selection Sunday and they put Miami in after doing what they did last night, to hell with the ACC contract. Notre Dame needs to go in there, rip that up.
What does Bavakwa think about all this? Because Notre Dame's been very quiet on the PR front. You ain't getting any pushback from Notre Dame publicly or anything, like the way the ACC is flooding the zone with anti-Notre Dame propaganda. I would love to know what Bavakwa thinks of your contractual partner shitting on you publicly all the time. I would love to know what the guy thinks.
Yeah, and, you know, I want to say was John Bryce was on a podcast, I want to say last week, and I love reading his articles with Football Scoop. I love his stuff, and he mentioned dropped kind of a nugget.
Real quick, Ryan.
Yeah.
I really like John Bryce because his sourcing and angles on everything are totally unique. He runs in a different information circle than everyone else in this media space, and I really like it because he's swimming in a different pool, and he doesn't really come off with the big ego. I really like John Bryce in our media circle.
Yeah, I do too. And I mean, I respect the crap out of him. And, you know, he mentioned on that, like I said, that nugget, whereas like relations between Notre Dame and the ACC are kind of Cold War-esque right now, which I understand it. How I look at it, right? If you're going to choose a person, you know, a team in your conference that is affiliated with your conference to go to war at, Notre Dame's not the one. But how smart Notre Dame is, like I know he mentioned that like Notre Dame could sue the ACC for legal reasons off of this stuff. The grant of rights, like
it doesn't really solve the immediate issue, right?
Yeah, right. It doesn't.
How long would that take to resolve? The ACC will probably not exist by the time it's over in court.
Yeah, I just, to me, and also I talked about this to, you know, some of my group chats. I'm like, the campaigning from the ACC, I get a little bit annoyed, and it's not Notre Dame's fault. But where is the campaigning for Notre Dame? Why isn't our social media team doing the same stuff that our fans are doing online with
Ryan, Ryan, is that like Notre Dame sees it as being below them to promote themselves in that way? Coach Jay, I see you. You're coming up. does Notre Dame see it as that's below them to publicly campaign and like beg in that way? Like, why are they radio silent? And I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I almost wonder if that's the case, but I almost wonder if it's also we've been consistently in the playoff rankings and comfortably in outside of this week. So maybe they didn't feel the need to do it, but you see the ACC posting about you feels like twice a day every single week. And then, then now you got the Miami official account doing it. And also the Jeremiah Love campaign, it felt like that was way too late.
Yeah.
When I don't know if you remember, John, but I remember the Josh Adams Heisman campaign, the 33 trucking.
Trucking 33 or whatever.
Yeah, that was started, I feel like week 4, week 5 of the season for Josh Adams. Like I don't know if it's something with PR or whatnot, but it just, for me as a fan, I see all of us going to Twitter and going online and defending our team to Miami fans, the Miami official account, the ACC account. And it just kind of feels like, hey, our official team account could just post, hey, we didn't lose to SMU and Louisville, or something clever like that, or post like, the state statistics that we're pulling out to help benefit the argument. But yeah, I mean, I think the being logical about it, trying to take a step back, calm down, not overthink. The logical part of my brain saying the head-to-head didn't matter the past 5 weeks.
And
they
it's
told us
already
that
been accounted for. It's already been adjudicated and put in the equation.
Yes, and they told us 2 weeks ago that they used it. They grouped Notre Dame and Miami together. The head-to-head was a factor, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And then what was it? Last night he was asked again. He's like, "Well, we've never directly compared Miami to Notre Dame, but they were in the same group, so I don't get how that makes sense."
Nope.
But nothing with this committee makes sense. But I'm telling you right now, like you said, if you would have told me 5 weeks ago the head-to-head was the difference, and you put Miami for cool.
Yep.
But you can't go 5 weeks.
Yep.
And lead on a fan base.
Yep.
And make us feel like
and then make the switch when neither one of them play.
Yep. Yeah. And I'll be honest, if we don't get in, and it's because of Miami, I'll be honest, John, it's not true, but it makes you wonder what was the point of playing out the rest of the season? Like, what was the point of, running Jeremiah Love for a Heisman campaign against Stanford when he could have got hurt?
I'm with you on it's just the way we're arriving at the decisions is really bizarre. And I could live with Miami being ahead of us in the first ranking and they say they each got 2 losses and it was decided on the field. I could live with it and I'd be mad at Notre Dame for losing the games we lost. But that's not what they did. And now the committee's putting themselves in a very weird spot. So if I put you on the spot, what do you think? What's the end going to be? How's this going to go?
Logically, my mind's telling me that as long as BYU doesn't win the Big 12 championship, regardless of what happens with Alabama and Georgia, Notre Dame is in. Yeah. That's what my brain's telling me. But you know how us Notre Dame fans are, John. You deal with it all the time. We get to thinking, overanalyzing things.
Oh, it'll make you so crazy. It'll mess with your head, man. You're driving around town. You're thinking about it. You can't sleep. You're with your family and you're worried about it. You can't. It messes with your head, man.
Oh, dude, the worst thing is my wife. I'm sitting here and I'll be on Twitter arguing. She'll go, "It's just football. It's just a game. Why are you getting so?" Oh, John, that is the worst possible thing anybody can say to you.
You're never gonna. I understand that because I live with the same dynamic. Mark with glasses just wrote, "My wife hates me." Like you can never explain it to somebody who says it's just a game. They'll never understand what you mean. Otherwise, they'll never get it. You either get it or you don't get it.
Yeah, and she's like, "You let this thing just drive your mental state." I'm like,
"It's who we are." Tell her it's not a choice. It's who we are. It's nobody would choose to lose their mind over football. It ain't a choice.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like I didn't have a choice. I came out. I was birthed being a Notre Dame fan, and I was marked with this. So
How's that worked out in your life?
Yeah, 25 years old, and man, all I feel like I've known is pain and two great seasons. But
it's Ryan. So I don't know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be wild. And I don't know, man. We're down to the wire. Anything else, buddy? Thanks for waiting.
yeah, no problem. I do want to say, like, this is historic class. I feel like we should talk about that more.
I wish, dude. It is the shittiest part about all this is the class we've been begging Freeman to sign all these years. He signs, and no one's talking about it because of all this.
Yeah, and I know people aren't going to want to hear it. I do think with this class and the talent that we have stacked in this roster, it's only a matter of time before Notre Dame wins a national championship.
It's hard, Ryan, because
it's hard.
It's like you keep kicking the can down the road.
Kicking the can down the road.
Next year, it's gonna be next year. It's gonna be next year.
But yeah, and then my final thing is, after this, especially if we get left out with Miami, I do think you have to start seriously questioning when you play the games you do. Like, I feel like it's not. I'm not going to be like the Texas and Miami fans, like, well, why do we even schedule Texas A&M and Miami?
Yeah,
I think you could still schedule those games, but maybe don't make them the first two games. Maybe you space them out with like a G5 team in between to kind of figure something out. I think that's something that we should definitely look into doing. But
yeah, I think man, you got slammed with that early part of the schedule. And then you have to mix in a new DC and a new quarterback right in the middle of that. It was a combination of nightmare factors. And then Notre Dame didn't handle it well enough. Ryan, thanks for joining, buddy. Really appreciate you.
Appreciate it, John.
Yep, we'll see you. Coach Jay, what's going on, man? Good morning. Good afternoon, whatever it is. I've been live so long, I don't know which it is, but what's up?
Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I got you. Perfect.
All right. Yeah, man. Hey, I've just been evaluating everything since the news came out that we dropped. And every team that's lost in the conference championship going back 2 years, the team that lost has always dropped. So, we're all concerned about BYU, which I think Texas Tech is a better team than BYU. They're going to take care of business because they're bigger, they're stronger, they got a better front.
They already did it.
BYU just can't compete. I mean, I'm not on any given Saturday, anybody can get beaten, but Texas Tech is the better team. They're going to take care of business. Georgia has a lot to play for, and Georgia has already lost to Alabama. So they want to definitely take care of business. And if they take care of their business, I see Alabama falling back one and us going back up to the 9 spot. And now this isn't even a conversation because I don't see Miami surpassing Alabama and putting themselves in a position to even have that head-to-head matchup. Should we?
Good theory, and I thought of it last night too. That moving Alabama up creates the buffer where if they lose, you can still keep them in.
Yes.
But you could also still create a gap between the Miami Notre Dame head-to-head, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, I've thought of that. But it still makes you uncomfortable, man. I don't want to be bumped.
It does, but at the end of the day, I'm a coach. I've been coaching on the high school level for 14 years now. I tell my players all the time, you never want to leave it into the hands of the refs, and you always want to take care of your business on the field. And I was at the Texas A&M game with my 5-star recruit who's getting recruited by Notre Dame. We didn't take care of business, and we had multiple chances to take care of business on the football field, and we didn't do it. And even in the Miami game, we should have came out with that passive aggressive approach when what you had with Carr. You could have went out there, took the handcuffs off him a little bit and let him throw it around a little bit instead of throwing these RPOs and these bubble screens and just all the silly shit that silly stuff that we were doing in the first half. And if we would have just played aggressively, maybe that game's not even close, and we're not even having this conversation of, oh well, what of this and what if Miami, like. If you made the decision to go with Carr over Kenny, you knew what you had with Carr. Don't go in there and treating them with kid gloves. Let them go out there and play the game like you want him to be the number one player that he is right now. You're not holding back now. You're doing play action passes and going downfield pretty much since Texas A&M game. So we done some things in those early games where Marcus Freeman, he's a great coach, great guy, but he's never going to make that mistake again. I can guarantee you he's not going to go in there try to protect what's going to be your franchise quarterback for the next 3 years ever again.
Tough lesson to learn on how to navigate that. And then do you feel similarly about the defense, that they were too conservative, sitting back, reacting instead of making things happen early in the year?
100%. I felt like they talked so much about how the defense was, kicking the offense butt in practice, which you're usually going to get that because offense is about details and rhythm and things like that. Defense is read and react, so you're going to get a lot of that in the in your training camps. The defense should always be ahead, but you should be able to evaluate as a coach, hey, my defensive line's not really getting pressure like that. Maybe we need to start doing some simulated pressures. Maybe we need to blitz a little bit more. And I think they sat back too much, thinking that they were going to get pressure with 4 against Miami, who had a veteran offensive line. You should have knew, okay, hey, they got veterans. We're a little bit better. Boubacar's coming back off of an injury, whatever. But maybe we need to simulate some pressures. Maybe we need to play more man-to-man. Maybe we should be sitting back in these little funky zones, letting people catch the ball in front of us and run and get yaks. Or, hey, maybe the nickelback that was in number 21, hey, he's not that guy. Maybe we need to put more in the slot like he did against USC to guard Tony in the Miami game. You could have did some things, and that goes back to coaching. And I don't think that they went into that Miami game as these coaches, they get paid so much money. They could have came in with a better game plan. I think we just came in a little bit too conservative. You should have knew Malachi Tony was who he was. I mean, this guy reclassed. You should have knew he could potentially be a mismatch problem. So there could have been some things that you could have done to put yourself in a better position to not even be here.
Better self-scouting in August to know what you had defensively. You had some guys out there that you quickly realized couldn't play where they were, and as much as they were like, I need a little better self-scouting, whatever we're doing in August, to know what you have and who can handle what role.
Right, and I've watched the replay. The ACC channel is playing the Miami game over and over and over again right now. I guess they're trying to get it in people's heads, like, oh, Miami beat Notre Dame. When you go back and really
already know they're watching the ACC network, they already
right, right. But when you go back and you watch it. It was just too passive aggressive, and Carson Beck, there were so many times we were just that close to getting them, and we were rushing for it. Maybe we brought 5 that time, but if you would have been bringing pressure like they're bringing now, and you would have had a Snead on the outside rushing and Kingston out there, I mean, there could have been some things that they've been doing lately that could have put them in a better position. And my thing is, in the college game, they spend so much time with these players. You know their traits, you know their attributes. Like, put your players in position to make the best plays on Saturday. And I don't feel we did that. So if at the end of the day, say hypothetically speaking, Alabama wins and BYU wins or whatever, we put ourselves in this position. And we're just going to have to bite the bullet going to next year. We got a good recruiting class coming. The 2027 class could be great also. And we just, Carr ain't going to be no more excuses. Kenny's going to transfer. We're just going to have to put our head down.
I want to ask you this. Coach, you mentioned you were there at the game with the recruit.
Yeah.
I don't want any personal information at all. Is there anything in general, though, you could tell us about how it is working with Notre Dame on the recruiting front when you're a coach and you want to get your players in there? What is it like working with this new modern Notre Dame recruiting regime? Nothing personal, but just whatever you're comfortable sharing from that side of it, working with them.
Well, I won't get too personal, but people know who I am in the state of Indiana. I'm pretty well know. I'm a coach at Lawrence North High School in Indianapolis, and I've been putting in Division I talent across college football for the last 6-7 years. A lot of my guys are down at Indiana University playing right now, but with my guy,
good for them, by the way.
yeah. And with my guy that I was there with, he's a 5-star. So obviously, when you have a 5-star talent and a guy that's a top tier athlete, they're going to roll out the red carpet. They're going to do the extra things that they might not do for a 3-star or 4-star or someone that they're just projecting to be, So I would just say that they did a great job of recruiting. Their staff, from the GAs all the way to the recruiting staff to even the coach's office court, they do a great job. They're doing a wonderful job of just being real, being authentic, and being personable. So I appreciate everything that I experienced in the journey up there, and they're doing a great job, as you can see by the recruiting class that they're getting today. They're going to sign a top 5 class.
Oh yeah.
So, that's better than what Brian Kelly was doing. I've been a lifelong Notre Dame fan, since Rocket Ishmael. So we haven't had a lot of top 5 classes. We've been getting these 10s and 15s, and then we wonder why we're not competing with these SEC schools. You got to get the 5-star, 4-star talent, and we're starting to get that now with Marcus. And we got a lot to be excited for.
Yeah.
The future's bright.
Dude, that is a little bit of my frustration today. This is the kind of recruiting class that we all envisioned Freeman having and wanting him to get to this level. He finally lands it, and it's all on the back burner because everybody's stressed out about the playoff. I wish this class could get more shine today, but the drama's kind of overdoing it.
Everybody just needs to take a chill pill. Don't get your panties in a bunch. Just relax.
You called the wrong show, Coach, for that.
I want you guys. I'm talking about just everybody just needs to calm down because there's still games needed to be played. I mean, everybody just relax. Understand Texas Tech is going to handle business. I mean, I know it's on a neutral field this time. They're going to handle business just because they're the superior team. And I believe that Alabama's going to get beat this time by Georgia. Georgia's playing a lot better. That loss made Georgia a better team. And I feel like Georgia's going to handle business, and that's going to drop Alabama. And now we're not even having this conversation. Yeah. We're not even going to have a conversation because we're just going to be in. And that's just my opinion based off of what I've seen. But anything can happen. But I think we need to – anything can happen.
Never a dull moment in Notre Dame land, man. Every time
it never is
around, there's Notre Dame's in the middle of something. It's never a dull moment in Notre Dame land. And that really is a blessing, though, man. Notre Dame matters. Yeah. They're relevant. Everything we do is magnified. And it's awesome. Coach, anything on the way out? Really, thank you for joining. Appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you bringing Goolsby and Coach Hyde along. I was watching those guys over when they were at Blue and Gold, and I mean, they brought so much insight to that channel. I mean, obviously, as a Notre Dame guy, I check out all the channels, man, just because I'm a diehard Notre Dame is what got me into football. So I'm tuning into everybody's content because everyone has a different perspective. So I'm glad that you've built that relationship with those guys and all that y'all doing over on Patreon and breaking the game down. I'm excited to see where that continues to go. Hopefully that relationship still continues to build with you guys for the seasons going ahead, because those guys know a lot about football, and I'll be excited to hear about what they have to say about all of this that's been going on the last 48 hours.
Yeah, man, it's going to be interesting. I really appreciate the kind words, trying to build a good team over here, and continued success to you in your coaching journey, man.
Indeed, man. I'll be tuning in, man, and hopefully I can get on another call soon, man.
I appreciate it. Don't be a stranger. I enjoyed this. Thanks a lot, Coach. Man, we got some good ones today. Scott, what's going on, man? Are you watching during lunch or wanted to
John,
talk?
how are
lunch?
you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
For some reason, I can't hear you.
Oh, I don't know, man. I'm talking.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. He can't hear me. I could hear him. The Rat, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, man?
What's on your mind?
My back is doing better.
Well, that's good. Do you have any football thoughts?
Well, before I get to that, thanks to my cousin who let me use his roller. I've been putting my back on this before I go to work, so now progress is being made. Hopefully, I can continue and get back to my normal self. But yeah, some football thoughts. First things first, I do think we shouldn't need Bama to get blown out. I think it's stupid. An L is an L, and it should. If that applies to us, it should. It applies to them, and it should. That's not right, especially if you're gonna keep a 2-loss Notre Dame. If you're gonna keep a 3-loss Alabama team in there, you should also keep a 2-loss Notre Dame team in there. I mean, that's not right. That's not fair. And you know, if that applies to BYU, then you know what? If BYU is out because their conference title loss, so should Alabama. That's not right.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting how they want to play that. But I guess the idea would be that it wouldn't matter because BYU's already behind Notre Dame, right? Like, so that would be the argument: is they could lose the conference championship, not drop, and Notre Dame's still already ahead of them, right?
Yeah. Well, one thing that and I'm trying to be fair and reasonable with the Miami people because I did not try to argue too much with them because they do have the head on us. Thing is, I wish they could just put both Notre Dame and Miami in and the griping.
Yeah.
I wish they could just do it like that, but unfortunately, they probably won't do it like that unless some crazy things happen. Say like Duke wins, Texas Tech wins, and Miami gets absolutely obliterated. And here's the thing, not Miami, sorry, Alabama. Now, here's the thing about Alabama, Georgia. Yes, I think Georgia can beat them, but problem is I can't trust them against Alabama. They haven't played trustworthy ball against them other than that.
You know what? That's another good question. We've been analyzing this through the lens that Alabama loses to Georgia. What happens if they beat them? Then what does that change or do? Where would Georgia drop and where would Alabama rise? I haven't even really explored what that input would change on the output equation.
Now, how's this for a question? Well, if BYU loses, but Alabama wins. What about this? Would that pretty much put Miami ahead of Notre Dame? Probably does, unfortunately. And we have no way to blame but ourselves.
Oh, what a mess. This whole dynamic is just so damn stressful. Like it is like, and after all, we're 3.5 hours. My brain's about to explode.
My brain was about to explode when Lewis told us the news. And excuse my language, but it's just got to be said by Lewis. God damn it, Lewis, stay the F out of jail. Keep your dumb ass out of jail. I mean, shit.
Yeah, I don't want him. I don't want my man locked up. But dude, I'm doing the whole Always Sunny in Philadelphia where like your brain has all the equations moving and I'm not smart enough to keep up with it. It's just, so I don't know how this is going to go. So do you think they're going to switch Notre Dame and Miami, or do you think we sneak in at 10 and we survive this?
I don't have the answer, unfortunately. The only thing I say is like, if BYU wins if BYU loses and Alabama loses, Notre Dame is safe. If BYU loses and Alabama wins, Notre Dame is either safe or not safe. It's 50-50 up for grabs in that situation. Yeah. I wish the committee was just consistent about it. As a matter of fact, I wish Miami did not lose those 2 games. I mean, seriously, I wish Miami didn't lose those 2 games, so we're not even in that situation.
That screwed both sides up because then they could be in the ACC title game and earn their way in that way, and then it doesn't affect Notre Dame as an at-large. They screwed everything up for everybody.
You gotta love college football how it goes sometimes. But anyhow, I mean, I don't have that much more to say about this whole situation, but I do have one more thing I do have to say to some people who want to see me skate on the live stream. Unfortunately, with this weather in my back, it probably won't happen. maybe in the spring, and I'll have to get get a different phone that lets me go live without Wi-Fi. Or what you can do, just look up 574 Skate Rat, and if you want to see what I can do.
There we go.
You don't
Well,
ha-
yeah, I want
just
you
look
to
that up.
get healthy, and then maybe at the spring game you could do a triple ollie.
Perhaps.
All right, I got to wrap this thing up, Skate Rat. I'm glad you're feeling better, buddy.
Thanks, man.
We'll see ya. All right, couple more chats, and 3.5 hours is a record for a morning show. I'm proud to say, but you guys deserve your opinions to be heard on all of this stuff. And I made the decision this morning. I'm going as long as people want to go. $5 holler. D'Antonio's on the committee, still mad about the PI calls in 2013. That's my conspiracy. Yeah, he is on the committee. Fravel, $5 holler. The CFP committee flips Notre Dame with Miami on Sunday. Notre Dame should get out of the ACC contract to be done. Yeah, I don't know what that language is for Notre Dame to get out of it with them actively campaigning against a fiduciary partner. $5 holler. K-Way. Committee giving Bama credit for losing a 17-point lead is wild. Anybody watch ND play could see they're a top 3 to 5 team. It's very interesting. $20 holler Crying Belly for going over your usual time. The fans need your support. Thanks a lot, Crying, man. Yeah, 3.5 hours is a marathon. We've had some post-game shows go 3.5, usually after losses. But this is a record for the morning show. Wild Nutty. ND lost to the 2 best teams on the schedule. Should just be thankful they're even ranked at 10 for the moment. I am. Wild Nutty. When this all started and the original rankings came out, the first thing I said is, this is about as favorable as it could be for Notre Dame, and you really can't complain. I was right there. I believe that. But the issue is, once you get so far down the road, to change up the philosophy now doesn't make sense. That's my argument. Notre Dame was lucky to be in the position they were in when the original rankings came out. But you can't change the philosophy midstream right at the end of it. I don't know. All right, you guys, I got to get something to eat. It's been a long 3.5 hours. I got to kind of let my brain simmer down here. We're getting cooked up. I need to let my brain simmer a little bit. Marathon show. All-time record for the morning show. Never gone this long before. I'm proud of that. I got every single person that waited to chat on. I feel like I did my job for the fan base today. I'll have more stuff for you on Patreon. We'll be live on Friday, and we'll keep it going. But this was an honest day's work doing this. And I'm glad you guys want to have your voices heard. You deserve it. Thank you, and I love you guys.